In Africa, we say what? Messiere. Professor Eduri, where is your daughter? Where are you? Okay, Professor Eduri, in Idoma, how do we say it? Anya, everybody. I want you to learn all the languages here. In Tiv is what? Unso kpeshe. In Hausa, what do we say? Sanu dezwa. In Akwananku. Are you enjoying it? Oh, okay, that's fine. Then who again? From my own village, we say Oma. Oma. Global President, sir, how do you greet good morning? Sorry? Maoka Badge. Where is he Esther? Are you Esther? Nicola, how do you greet? Yes. Sorry? Koteta. You're all sweet too. Do you understand Pidgin? You don't understand Pidgin. Okay, let me greet you in Pidgin. How you doing? How body? What's up now? How the apple? Now you be this. Hello. Area. I say I don't see the area. The hello. No play. We are not joking here. Where am I? I've greeted in Yoruba. Igbo, Kwenu. Robo Ado. Akwa Ibom Isanwo. Mikwo. Where is the South Africans? Okay, Morizo. How do you greet? Magwana Lee. Sabugwana. Where am I again? Tanzania. Where are they? Okay. Please, okay. Abari. Ozeri Sana. Malawi. Swagi. Mulibwaji. English. We don't. Let's leave English first. Let's go. So, Ghana, Akwaba. You are Uganda is what? Agandi. Sorry? Okay, Professor Rwanda Muraru. Hey God. See me, they enjoy all these African languages. Right, the next one. Esakon is what? Odegbeao. Bini Domo. Thank you very much. Wakoyo, it's okay. Dear participants, you're all welcome to the last day of our conference. I am aware all our participants that are virtual are already ready, and we are going to commence immediately. I'd like to, at this point, welcome you all and promise that today we are going to be a little bit faster. So for us to achieve that, I want to beg all our presenters, our panelists to please stick to your time. I want to beg that if I interrupt you, just know that it's necessary because you may have, exceeded your time. So try as much as possible to look at the screen and then give us at the time due. So I'll beg you to please help out in that nature. I'd like to bring to our notice that today, day 3, our plenary will be here, then we'll do a breakout. And in the breakout, you don't need to leave. You sit back in the breakout hall and have your tea break. so that we can finish up everything on time, rather than us leaving the hall for tea break. I understand that leaving for tea break or for lunch takes longer time. So please, this time around, please, wherever you are, any hall you are located to, please remain seated for your tea break. Today's topic in social work in practice, the innovative approach to social problems in Africa. And today, in the plenary, will be moderated by, I don't know if he's here or is online, Mr. Bode Akindoro, British Association of Social Worker member, Cashier Council, England, United Kingdom. Thank you very much, sir. Please put your hands together for him. Sir, may you please come to the stage. I'd like to introduce today the rapporteur for this plenary in person of Mr. Tembin Kosi Peter, University of Limpopo, South Africa. If you are here, please, may you rise for recognition, or if you are online, please give us a signal that you are with us. Distinguished participants, at this point, I'd like to request the moderator to take over from me while introducing all the panelists to the high table or the stage. I understand that the first presenter is going to do it online, and the co-author is here in our midst. So whatever question that needed, the co-author will answer from here. Sir, please, may you take the podium. Thank you. Maybe I will just invite them. Okay. Then you moderate them. Okay, tell them you give number one to present. Okay. Thank you. I'd like to quickly introduce and welcome on stage our presenters for today, and then their topic. Please, can you project it so that we can see? So please, if you are here for assessment of the use of social work methods in mitigating poverty, hunger, and food crisis in Africa, the presenter is going to take that online, Mrs. Uche Gob. And then the next, please, I don't know if we can get her so that she'll wave to us. And then the next panelist is going to be Ofem Nana, Udom Hannah Thompson, Don Clems Enamhe. Is on green social work, perspective in managing environmental degradation. Please, if you are here, or the presenter, if you are here, please indicate. Now, what we are going to do, if the presenter is not ready, we are going to take anyone that is available because we have to beat time. The next one is going to be on Ubuntu Ethics and Social Work Practice by Bernard O. Mayaka. I'm sure Bernard is here too, or online. My friend. Okay, in Nigeria, I will say my guy. Welcome, sir. So please, can you just come? Thank you, sir. Please, join us here. You can come, sir. Thank you. Please put your hands together for him. One of those presentations I enjoyed him was online during the COVID-19. I was praying I should meet this young man one day, and today I have the opportunity to meet you, sir. Welcome. Thank you. Please sit. The other one is going to be taken by John Mary. John Mary will be taking the next one. If you are here, John Mary, online, okay. Then we'll take the last one on the plenary is going to be taken by Dr. Priscalia Kosa. I'm sure she'll be doing that equally online, or if you are here, please you come. At this point, I'd like to call the moderator to commence. Thank you.
Can I have that, please? Okay. And this one.
So he's here, so he will be the one to take now.
This one. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to be a moderator today. I really call on the topic of the utility ethics and social work practice. I will call Mr. Bernard Maya from the School of Social Study, University of Applied Science. Let them to give a talk, please.
I would like the microphone because I want to interpret. Okay, greetings to you all, and welcome to this wonderful final day of the conference. I would like to apologize that the presentation I'm going to share is restructured because I had a different presentation. But today, because of time allocation, I had to change the approach. So for this morning, I want us to look and basically to do a reflection. That is why I changed the approach and look at what we are doing as social workers, we as individuals. Are we practicing ethically or are we ethical? And when we talk of ethics, it's a very big and a complex subject, because in every way we have always to remember to apply cultural sensitivity when we discuss this. However, for this morning, looking at an African perspective, I want to ask ourselves, what is ethics? What do we understand to be ethics? Well, we have the academic explanation, or I will say academic explanation, but generally we say it is a study of morality, what is right, what is wrong, but focusing mostly on professional practice or profession relations. And in this case, I want to share a story. Most of us are living, or all of us are living in this society, and every time we have a challenge, we always move or go to a specific profession seeking for assistance in any way or in any manner. We've had different experiences when seeking support from these professionals, and my question has been wondering, or has been always been, what is it that is happening in our society today? When we go to seek professional assistance, we end up not getting the right treatment or the right assistance in some way. I want to share a case scenario. When I go to see a doctor in a public hospital, when I go to see a doctor in a, let's say when I go to an hospital, a public hospital, then I go to see, to seek services, sometimes I've referred to a social worker. But we always find that we are treated differently depending on the person that you find at the office or on duty on that day. This could be because how the person woke up, probably how the person is doing, and probably how your look is, because you can get to the office and I look at you, this person is going to cause me trouble. So we assume that. That is how we assume, we judge, because we are human and we define by the look, or the first observation communicates a lot. And then the same person that treated you the first time, if you go behind the scenes and then another client comes in, you realize that that person was treated differently. So why is it that we treat people differently, yet we are rendering the same service? It's a very big question. And when I was coming in at the airport, I also experienced that in a very interesting way, which I will not share because it's somehow embarrassing, that we are always treating people differently depending on the color, depending on how they are dressed, depending on how they speak. Yet we are offering professional service. And then my major question has been, what has caused all this? Are we basing or practicing basing on our ethics, or what has really happened that we cannot adhere to the principles of social work or any profession? So to understand ethics, we may need to build from morality in some way, because we all have different morals, and morality or morals come from the Latin word which means human interaction or action that affects the self or other living beings. So in general, it focuses on the relationship that we have with people. So these are the guiding principles that are set by a society on how to relate to each other. And sometimes it's very complex, because what I find to be right in my society will never be right to some of us here. And that is now when we think we need to look at what it literally means from each perspective. And when we look at the ethics in nutshell, it's a professional perspective or approach. That is what I'd mentioned earlier. And then Ubuntu ethics now comes to the African perspective, because, well, we might say it is African, but it's from the Bantu community. Let's be specific. And in that sense, you find that even in each community of the Bantus, they have different ways and different words to define what is Ubuntu. I will not define this because we've discussed this many of the times, and we don't have much time to discuss that, because I want us to get into the main concept of this session. And Ubuntu can be said to be a public ethic founded on the societal or societal individual members responsible to protect and promote the well-being of everyone in the population, which is now the African Bantu population, and means to advance social well-being and social development. It embodies an understanding of what is to be human and what is necessary for human beings to grow and find sustainable well-being. This is very important. When we talk of Ubuntu ethics, it focuses on each individual rendering service, and the main key that when we discuss Ubuntu, it always correlates with interconnectedness, interdependence, compassion, and all these principles of Ubuntu, where it focuses on promoting the well-being of every member in the society. In that sense, then Ubuntu ethics is relevant to social work practice because it focuses on the relationship. Relationship is key. It's all about relationship. Just as society evolves, even ethics also evolves. And now the question is ethics, or has ethics been left behind when the society evolves? Or is it at the right level when we look at how we interact from an African perspective? When we interact professionally, where are we? I've been asking my colleagues, what did happen to our motherland when it comes to professional practice? I still haven't gotten a right answer to date, and I don't know how we can find that. But in a nutshell, you can see that all these stages, when you look at all those stages, practice has been different, yet the same. Because it is all about human relationship and interaction. So in that sense, it always, while it evolves, we also advance and adjust to the current needs and the current trends. But today we still have a big, big challenge in achieving most of our needs. So I don't know what we can do to to advance or to move together. Having said all this, which is too much of theory, I want to challenge ourselves from what I said earlier, or from the short story, which I didn't give in details, that we always find different treatment when we go to professions. That is where I want us to reflect on in this morning. And you as a social worker, the question I'm going to give ourselves is, what is your main role to advance ethical practice without looking at the person looks, the person's origin, religion, and all that. It is all about service. And when we talk about service, I want us to look, there's a clip that I want us to watch. I hope there will be audio. And look at what is it that we are supposed to do in this case, because this is very important. I wanted to us to think of where we are professionally and reflect on what has happened in the past and what is happening today, and then how can we advance professionalism basing on ethics. Because I don't want to give a lot of theory on this subject, because I really wanted us to reflect. I wanted to have a discussion amongst ourselves. But at 10 minutes, it's not possible to do that. Thank you for that. As that one is going on, I want to come to the audience and get some feedback. I don't know whom to ask, because everyone here, but we have an experienced social worker who is seated next to me. My question is, how can we practice ethically without looking at the challenges that we face today? Without basing on the challenges that we face, how can we practice ethically? From Ubuntu perspective, I'm asking you that because we are...
Ask another person, please. I'm not a practitioner.
I think when it comes to thinking about ethical things, it's thinking about what you want to be done to yourself. Because if you think whatever I do against this person, it should be applied to self as well. So if you don't even want to base it on any ethical consideration, just do unto others as to yourself. That way you maintain human dignity without expectation, because everybody has the right to dignity. So I think we need to look at it rather than over kind of theorizing it. Just think, what do you want to be done to yourself? That's what I think. I'll pass it on to the Africa president.
Anston says, just put me on the spot. Ethics speak to, or practice speaks to, what is right, what is expected, without taking into account your own emotions, your own belief systems. And I believe that's where the challenge is, where you then talk about the dilemmas that we face as social workers. As Anston has said, what would you want to be done unto you and to do things correctly? I don't know whether I've captured it as you would have wanted it to be answered.
Sincerely, ethics does not operate in a vacuum. It is determined by certain conditions within a given context. Vis-a-vis the social, political, and economic conditions in the given environment.
Thank you so much for that addition. Unfortunately, because of the challenge, we will not play the video, and the time is gone. However, the video I had, or the clip I had, gives an image of what is happening in the world today. When we talk of crime, when we talk of war, when we talk of immorality of any form that is existing today, depending on the community, of course, that we live in, it gives a different definition of what is morality and what is moral per se. But it gives a question, as social workers, how can we still practice ethically and ensure that we render the right service to each client or to each community member in a manner that we are not going to cause any harm in any way, neither to the client nor to you as a social worker. And then the major question that I still have, and probably we might have to explore this in a different context, is what is not happening in our profession today? Because we are still dictated a lot in the environmental conditions to practice in a manner that is not ethical. Sometimes we have no choice but render service in an ethical way. And then the question comes, must you still adhere to ethics no matter the consequences that you might face? And that question, I would like to challenge Genestic to try to give us some reflection. The question is, must we always adhere to ethics when practicing, no matter the consequences?
I mean, that's a very difficult question, because how can you say, from your definition of ethics, you said it's, has to do with morality, has to do with what's right or wrong. But we also know that depends on the context and how you define what's right and what's wrong. So depending on your context, if you say, must we always adhere, issues of ethical dilemmas come into play, because what you might consider as right in this context might be considered differently. So I think we have to constantly evaluate. You said that ethics evolves as well. We have to constantly evaluate, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable, and then try to have a balance, with the context, the current context. Right now, in my context, there is a huge ethical challenge or dilemma related to, the act that was recently passed, on homosexuality in Uganda, okay? So the social workers are saying they know what to do professionally. They know they are supposed to be ethical. They are supposed to, to protect and defend the rights of everyone. But there's the law. The law says this can be done, this cannot be done. So how do you actually begin to engage with that? So there's no easy response to your question. You have to constantly evaluate and see what you do as a professional in diverse contexts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Genestic. That is very comprehensive. I'll come back to that.
Thank you very much. In treating individuals equally, I think we'll reflect back on our ethics principles and social case work, and that is our guiding principle. And we have each of these principles depending on the case you are handling. So I think we'll reflect back on our ethics and principles of social case work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think if I go around, I might not be able to achieve what I wanted to due to time. But the question that we still have today, ethics is very hard to define because it's always different. And we still have a big challenge on how to ensure that we are practicing in a professional manner, that each member, particularly the main stakeholders involved in any case, management per se, is living that interaction or that relationship fully satisfied, and as well as ensuring that each individual involved, where the well-being is fully met or achieved at the end of it. But what all of you have shared is, as social workers, we have a big challenge. In each context, politics dictates and leads us to practice in a manner that sometimes might not be ethical from a professional point of view. And the other question that I had, particularly for us who are in the academia, what are we doing, or what is the challenge that we have? Because we are not, probably, it might be a big assumption, but the education structure in Africa per se is not adhering to African ethics or ethos. And this is also a challenge in some ways, because we are training individuals. When they leave the practice, going out, they face a very big challenge applying what they've learned from the Western theories to the indigenous values. So we have a big challenge as trainers and as practitioners to ensure that we practice based on the local setting and local values, which will eventually enable us to serve each member's needs. So what is not happening in the society today, I don't know how best we can discuss this, but there is still a big challenge in our society today, especially looking at the economic standards, which sometimes leads us to practice in a manner that is not acceptable. I may not say ethical, but it's unacceptable. We treat people like they are not humans. Yet when we look at Ubuntu, it focuses on humanity perspective. It's more of ensuring that we are all human. And when you put the humanity aspect ahead, then we are able to practice in an ethical manner, because respect comes first, care comes in, compassion comes in, and all this is humanity. So it's a very big challenge for us to reflect on our practice today, because I'm told my time is over. So I will only say that Ubuntu provides a rich ethical foundation for social work practice, and emphasizing community, interconnectedness, and the promotion of well-being of individuals and society as a whole. So we as social workers must be guided by Ubuntu principles when practicing in an Ubuntu setting. That is important. When practicing in an Ubuntu setting, then we have to adhere to the Ubuntu principles, which can help us contribute to the development of that setting or that community in a holistic, cultural, and sensitive way, where we are able to address the social issues effectively, promoting social justice and social well-being of every member in that community or in that group. It is therefore important to note that as Ubuntu is a multifaceted philosophical system, then it involves logic and other these epistemologic values or practices. Then ethics in itself, that Ubuntu ethics in itself, is a philosophy of life, relations. That is what I can say in general. A person who lives and practices Ubuntu, that is what Desmond Tutu said, and that is what I want to finish with. A person with Ubuntu is open and available to others, affirming of others, does not feel threatened, which is the challenge that we have in our society today. Whenever we see somebody having a challenge or having a success, we feel threatened in some way. But any person who lives and practices Ubuntu does not feel threatened by others or who are doing well or not doing well, it doesn't matter. For he or she has greater whole and diminished when others are humiliated or diminished. When others are tortured or oppressed, it doesn't matter. What is important is to ensure that we practice in a humanistic approach, ensuring that we promote the well-being and the development of every individual in the community. That is what I wanted to finish with. However, it is very complicated to discuss this in a diversity community. What we need to take note is be cultural sensitive and apply humanistic values and approaches when practicing with each member in the society. Thank you.
I think it deserves a better round of applause. Ubuntu, Ubuntu. Thank you very much. I understand that, yes, okay, you are on already. I understand that you are supposed to take the first paper. We are sorry about that. We're struggling to connect with you. So we will take that before we continue. The next paper will be taken. Please, can you project it? Okay, the next paper will be taken by Mrs. Uche Gop on assessment of the use of social work methods in mitigating poverty, hunger, and food crisis in Africa. Ma, if you're on, we are ready. Thank you very much. Can you hear us?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to present this paper, co-authored by Samuel Ojima Adejo of Department of Social Work, University of Lagos. Yeah, we're going to look at the introduction, define some concepts, and look at social work methods, look at some theories in social work, and see how we can integrate social work to mitigate poverty, hunger, and food insecurity. And look at a case study, especially in Nigeria, and see how social workers fared in these policies. And also look at the challenges faced by social workers in carrying out their jobs, and make some recommendations. By way of introduction, I want to tell a story. I live in Lagos, Nigeria, and when I go to work every day, I see people along the road. I see them in the market. I see them everywhere. And what do I see? I see unhappiness. I see poverty. I see people looking for more. And I wonder what is happening. What is the government doing? What are the people doing? And what are we doing as social workers? That is why I have to choose this topic to see what we are actually doing in Africa. And then we're going to look at Nigeria as a case study. You go to the market, you will not see food to buy. Even we have yam. Yam is now a luxury in Nigeria. Some people cannot even afford meat, beef, or steak. See, most people, even the seemingly rich, going for more, that's the cow skin. So you just see that access to food is actually a problem. And poverty, hunger, food insecurity, they are triple symptoms of underdevelopment that we face in Africa, especially in Nigeria. Poverty, you see poverty, even anybody on the street can define poverty, even the child, because it's a state or situation in which a person or a group of people don't have enough money to meet their basic needs. And what are these basic needs? food, healthy food, clean water, electricity, medical, and so on. These are the things that we see, and the World Bank measures poverty by $1 per day formula. How many people can boast of $1 in Africa or in Nigeria? Hunger, a feeling of discomfort or weakness caused by lack of food, coupled with the desire to eat. That's why you see faces. You can look at the pictures there. A hungry person is an angry person. See why we have all this conflict everywhere, in families, in the society, because of hunger. It's a lack of food, starvation, famine, undernourishment. Another concept that we look at is insecurity. It's a condition of not having access to sufficient food or food of an adequate quality to meet one's basic needs. And we have different levels of food insecurity. I said that we're even in maybe number 3 crisis. Some regions are in a critical situation or even an extreme critical situation. So what are we doing? I know that each of these phases has important and distinct implications for where and how best to intervene, and therefore influences priority response objectives. I'm showing a picture of Africa. You can see showing acute food insecurity in different regions. You can see the colors. And one of the points there I can pick is that 8 out of these top 10 African countries are experiencing food insecurity. It is very, very pathetic, very appalling. What are we doing? And let's look at this picture. The millions of people from 2018 to 2022 suffering food insecurity. I just want to share this data. You can see the countries: DRC, Ethiopia, Nigeria, Sudan, Somalia, all suffering food insecurity. And if you look at these regions, they have one conflict or the other that have necessitated this problem for us. And what we should know is that when your brother is poor, you're also poor. Because they'll keep on, no matter what you earn, they will keep on coming to you for assistance. And we have some social theories that look at social work methods. We cannot use one method or one theory for all of them for one particular case. We have empowerment theory, functionalist theory, conflict theory. You identify anyone that can solve that particular problem for that particular client. Then coming to social work methods. Social work is a profession and it has many methodologies. Method there is often used interchangeably with approach, intervention, or practice. These terms all denote action. A method is what the social worker actually does when working with a client. We have 2 methods, the primary methods and the secondary methods. But our focus here will be on the community organization and also the secondary methods of social action. We'll talk about advocacy, social welfare admin, helping communities to directing them, helping them to plan, and making some social work research that will help policy formulation and decision making. This is where the issue is, the gap. To what extent has this been achieved? That's the work of a social worker. We know that we are committed to empowering individuals and communities. We are trained. We have the requisite skills to facilitate positive change. But are we allowed to do this? To what extent are the social workers involved in the formulation and implementation of programs aimed at solving problem of poverty, hunger, and food crisis in Africa? I know that some regions like East Africa, they have pro-SOWO, promotion of professional social work, that work in collaboration with the government to promote and strengthen social work education and practice in view of reducing hunger. But what of other regions? What of Nigeria? What of West Africa? What of South Africa? What are we doing to mitigate hunger? That takes me to another section of integrated social work method to address poverty, hunger, and food insecurity. I mentioned that we're going to look at community-based approaches. The first one is social work and employ community-based methods to engage with local populations and address their specific needs. Their needs could be food, it could be clean water, it could be health. So there are initiatives such as community food cooperatives, nutrition education programs, community gardens that can empower communities to take control of their food security. Then we have please, can you see my screen?
Yes, please, you have 1 minute. I just needed to let you know that. Thank you.
Okay, then we have a policy advocacy, then capacity building. We have policies, implementation of welfare policies targeted to the poor, risk assessment. Then on the case study, in Nigeria, different governments have introduced policies to help mitigate poverty in Nigeria from 1972 to date. We have the government, NGOs, and other people with different approaches. But what is the effect on the people? What is the effect? It's only the community-based projects that apply social work methods like social action that have really helped us in Nigeria. Sorry, I have to rush. We also face some challenges of poor funding of the community development projects, unemployment of social work graduates that are supposed to be employed to help mitigate these problems, and the legal slow rate of development of legal framework. I'm happy that many things are happening now in Nigeria. The inauguration of the National Council of Social Work. Hope it will help to formulate policies. Then a recommendation. We wish to recommend that a social worker applying his diverse skill of advocacy and commitment to social justice will work with African governments on social protection programs, and state of emergency on poverty, hunger, and food crisis should be declared immediately. And African governments and development partners to reorganize communities for the purposes of galvanizing social action with the ownership mentality. Then we have to work with the grassroots in the identification of their needs, plan with them, implement and evaluate the situation. In conclusion, if African countries can see poverty, hunger, and food crisis as an emergency, they will reorganize and mobilize their society to deal with it. Corruption is a major setback that we must deal with. And social workers must be deployed to manage programs in this regard. And I want to end my presentation with a call to action to all of us here in this conference. Let us arise. Let's arise as social workers. Social workers, arise and save Africa. Social workers in Nigeria, arise and save Nigeria. Thank you very much for your attention.
That was a wonderful presentation. Please, may we put our hands together for her again. Very wonderful presentations there. Thank you very much, Ma. Please stay online because there are likelihood of questions that may be coming to you. And when it's time, we'll let you know. So I'd like us to, please, our presenters, manage your time. You have to manage your time. Otherwise, I'll have to cut you, please. I'm so sorry about that, but I have to do that for the time's sake. So we'll take our next paper. Our next paper is going to be taken by Oluwatomi Adeleke on photo voice, a tool for social transformation among survivors of gender-based violence in Kwara State. Oluwatomi is the Vice President, Africa Region for IFSW. Yes. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. I'll be talking about photo voice, a tool for social change among survivors of violence. I will be sharing my story. I'm a practitioner, I'm not an academician. So my presentation is my experience on the field. I run a non-governmental organization in Kwara State called Olive Community Development Initiative, and we support women and girls. We have a psychosocial support unit, and we refer for legal support, and we offer counseling. I'm also a PhD student in Robert Gordon University, and I'm working on the use of photo voice. I just want us to know, as social workers, that there are different methods, there are different tools that we can use to get information from people, especially maybe the vulnerable people that are vulnerable, or people that you find it difficult to get information from them. And such is the survivors of violence against women. Sorry, my presentation is not up, so it's coming up. Okay, so I can just go on. I'm not here to talk about violence against women. We had a session on it yesterday, but it's a worrisome phenomenon in Nigeria, as 1 in every 3 women has experienced one form of violence or the other in their lifetime, according to a UNICEF report. During COVID, it was found out that, during COVID, sorry, I can. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. So during COVID, it was found out that the rate of intimate partner sexual violence increased by 56% in the first 2 months of COVID lockdown in 2020 in Nigeria. Then I was in Aberdeen, and I went to resume. I initially wanted to do my research on social protection, but the reports I was hearing from home, from my organization, made me to change my project topic, and I was getting a lot of news that was disturbing me. Different methods have been used to address violence against women and girls, such as legislation and the domestication of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Law 2015, advocacy and sensitization activities. But despite all this, it still increased. The impact of violence on women ranges from physical, emotional, psychological, social, and health impact. And the effect of these impacts can be reduced or managed by having medical treatment and, in some cases, rehabilitation. Like I said, I'm not talking about violence against women. I'm talking about the method I used. Then what was I looking at? I wanted to investigate the nature of experiences of survivors of gender-based violence in Kwara State. I wanted to explore the experiences of survivors of violence in accessing justice, protection, and empowerment as provided in the VAP Act in Kwara State, because Kwara State domesticated the VAP law, and so we were using it. I wanted to find out, using this act in Kwara State, how is it for the survivors of violence? And I also wanted to identify the shortcomings in the usage of this act in accessing justice for survivors of gender-based violence in Kwara State. the method I used, I said, is photo voice, because it was difficult getting detailed information from survivors of violence. We have a psychologist, we have a counselor that they relate with, but we didn't still get everything we wanted. So in my course of research, I was reading about different methods, and that's how I came about photo voice. And I saw that photo voice has been used in different contexts. They use it in getting information for people living with HIV/AIDS, for young people about their reproductive health. So I adopted photo voice. Photo voice is a known qualitative method in participatory action research, which involves individuals taking photographic images to document and reflect on issues that are of much importance to them. I said photo voice, photo voice. That means taking pictures, taking photos to express yourself, to talk about something. It is described as a design technique used to capture the voice of vulnerable individuals on a particular issue affecting them, in which they want to make positive changes, and they need to get the attention of decision makers at any level. The process was participatory, as all the participants were actively involved. Oh, I have 2 minutes, by taking photographs that relate to them. Sorry, quickly, let's go to the photographs. If you look at this, what can you see? Is a knife. This knife is one of the pictures the survivors of violence took. We did a purposive sampling from, there's a network of organizations working on sexual and gender-based violence. So it was from the group that we recruited volunteers. We gave them Android phones, and we taught them how to take photographs. And after that, we told them to go back home and take photographs of their experience. They should take photographs of things that they can use to express themselves. They can use to talk about their experience. I remember the person who brought this photo said each time she sees this knife, she remembers how her husband normally beats her with this knife and eventually stabs her. So anytime she even sees a knife, this is what comes to her mind. Look at this next picture. What is it? Picture of a school. The survivor who took this picture said she remembered that her children were in a private school before. But now, because she separated from her husband, she had to take them into a government school. Even in the government school, she does not have what it takes to support them. And from the first picture, we were looking at domestic violence, because all the pictures they submitted, they all looked at it together, and we divided them into teams. We sorted them out into teams. And this school means education. Look at this cashew tree. What comes to your mind if you see a cashew tree? The woman that brought this picture said she remembered that when they don't have anything to eat, she goes into the bush to pick cashew seeds. And she continued doing this, and there was a day that the owner of the farm said, "Oh, you have come again today. Once I carry one of your children, you will not come back here." And she started running. So for this, we are saying we are looking at livelihood. This picture is depicting livelihood. Look at this one, the picture of a police station. A survivor brought this picture. She said she remembered when she went to the police station to report what was wrong with her. It was in the night when she was chased out of the house. She did not have anywhere to stay. And even the police station told her that there's no space for her to stay. She also brought this other picture, an uncompleted building, and that's where she spent the night. And for us, this means there's no shelter. This one is the Ministry of Justice in my state. One of the survivors brought this picture. And she told us about the support she got from the legal system, from the judiciary. She has a 3-year-old boy that was taken away from her. And by the time she got to the organization, they referred her to the ministry. They were able to help her to get her son back. Another survivor also brought another picture talking about the judicial system. Oh my God, sorry, my time is up. Talking about the judicial system, that You know, each time she went to court, she kept on going, and they didn't even have money to keep going to the courts all the time. Then finally, what did we derive from all this? We found out that it helps to tap deep into their sense of intuition and bringing them to their consciousness. When they all gathered together and shared their pictures and listened to each other, I was surprised myself. After they all shared their story, one of them just banged the table. She banged the table and she said, she found out that, all of them are experiencing the same thing. Why can't the government do this? Why can't the government tell men to stop beating women? Why can't the judicial system do this? Why can't the police stop collecting money from them? Those are some of the things they said. But let us look at this. This method also comes with its own challenges. First, I had to buy mobile phones for all of them, Android phones. And we had training 3 different times. These are rural women. We have to start teaching them how to use the mobile phones. And they did some practical session, took pictures of themselves, of colors, of what it means to them. And later we told them to go back home and take pictures of, what forms of violence they experience, and bearing in mind what the law says. Conclusion. Photo voice is a tool that can be used to adopt to bring about critical social change. From this research so far, survivors have exhibited the following. 1, self-worth. They were conscious of themselves and realizes that they are worth more than they are being treated. The use of Android phone added value to their life in several ways. It improved their self-esteem as they took pictures of themselves and they have better self-confidence in expressing themselves. It also helped them to participate in social activities, such as sharing experiences in support group meetings, because we grouped them, we formed them into a group and they were having meetings even after the research. They gained freedom after hearing from others and sharing their stories too. The use of photo voice enhanced networking skills acquisition among the researchers and the participants through experience sharing and the life building skills that was acquired. Today, I want to encourage social workers to use photo voice. They are our targets. We work with a lot of vulnerable people who ordinarily will not even talk to us or tell us how they feel, who cannot express themselves. But we do use of photo voice. When they take the pictures and you tell them to start talking, they are conscious. And you get even much more information than you expected. Recommendation. Photo voice should be adequately used because it could help researchers, participants, and users of the research to obtain reliable information. And for this particular research, it's still ongoing. After all these findings, I organized a stakeholders workshop in Kwara State with the frontline workers, with the police, representatives of the judiciary, NGOs, religious-based organizations, and NGOs. They came together. We had a workshop, and all these pictures were displayed. They looked at the pictures and the interpretation of the picture, and they felt sorry. After identifying the gaps in the services they were producing. And as I'm talking to you, they have come up with new ways to attend to survivors of violence. But this is still ongoing, and I felt it's something very important, something special, something that means a lot that I feel I can share in this conference, so that social workers in schools, social workers on the field, we can also check photo voice and make use of it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Thank you. Please, I think she deserves something better. Okay, I understand that some persons who are expected to present now, some of them are not here, are not even online, but I want to ask those that are online, if you are slated to present in this plenary and you are online, please can you make a signal for us to know that you are valuable. For those of you watching us online that are following virtually, if you can, please do. Meanwhile, let me run through it and we'll identify. Otherwise, I'll go straight to my own presentations, but I'd like to take all first. Let me save my own for the last. At least I've been talking. So there will be no need for me to present it, but I would like to showcase what I have. So please, let us see if these persons are on. Do we have Ofem Nana Okoye? Udom Hannah Thompson? If you are with us online, please indicate. Nobody? I'm aware that John is available online to make his own presentation. Please, can you project John? John will present online. Then after John, I'll take mine, and then I'm sure we'll be done for the plenary. So John, you have just 10 minutes, and it begins now.
We are online. No, we are online.
Okay, thank you.
We are online. I've been raising my hand, sir.
We'll get to the time that you talk. It's not time for questions. It's just for presentation. So we want to take papers first. After the papers, we'll acknowledge your hands, please. John, go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm checking the voice to know whether my voice is clear. Please confirm.
Yes, this is clear, loud and clear.
Good morning, fellow social workers. Greetings from Kampala, Uganda. My name is John Mary Sekate. I'm the National Coordinator for the Professional Board of Social Workers here in Uganda. And our topic of discussion is on ESCO Code of Conduct, or ESCO Code of Conduct, and how it reinforces quality service interventions by social workers, looking at mental health as our case study. The first thing is to realize this is just to talk about our profession. That was the summary, and also the link is provided. We are members of International Federation and also Global Social Workforce. And also we work closely with the Ministry of Health here in Uganda to shape mental health policies, but also interventions. When you look at ESCO practice, if somebody talks about ESCO Code of Conduct, in implication, we are talking about the ESCO practice, which is embedded in the ESCO Code of Conduct. Regardless of all the levels of our practice, regardless of different domains of social work practice, we find that ESCO Code of Conduct and also to work guided by ESCO practice is central if we are to achieve quality service delivery by all social workers. Why? Because it helps to identify core values, mission, and ESCO standards that always guide us as social workers. But also it gives us relevant consideration for professional obligation. When we are faced with dilemmas as social workers, we always refer our ESCO Code of Conduct. It also promotes ESCO standards for the general public to hold us accountable. As social workers, of course, we work in communities and we are supposed to be held accountable by the public. Working within the ESCO code of conduct, it helps us to be held accountable by the communities that we serve. But also it helps young professionals, like the young social workers who have just joined the profession, to know the values, the mission, and ESCO principles, so that when they are practicing, they have something to refer to. But also it is a reminder for our responsibility for the wider society that we serve. So we chose the case of mental health and how we have been using ESCO Code of Conduct to reinforce quality service delivery in Uganda, because globally 1 in 8 people live with mental health condition, according to World Health Organization report. But also 3.14 of the total disease burden in Uganda also related to mental health. So this is complicated with environmental stress now, like war, infections, refugees, and poverty, plus COVID-19 and post-COVID-19 mental health challenges. That's why we said that we are using this tool, our ESCO Code of Conduct, to look at this. So what have we been doing as social workers in Uganda? We have been doing capacity building of frontline social workers. Between 2022 and 2023, we have empowered over 100 social workers and we have equipped them with trauma-informed care techniques so that they can promote resilience of individuals, families, and communities, working in partnership with other social work agencies. We have also coordinated social work, working with the Ministry of Health. We have coordinated some of the activities, advocacy campaigns, promote, to support the population, especially those in quarantine centers. I want also to take this opportunity to thank the global president, that is Joachim Mumba, and also the African president, Noel, who have also been part of these activities and also participating and also sharing their experiences and also guiding the younger professionals. That's also have been coordinating advocacy campaign, support frontline social workers. A total of 560 frontline social workers have been supported, plus 30 social worker agencies between May and July 2022. But also have been working with the Ministry of Health here in Uganda to organize national learning events like the national conferences and also World Mental Health Day. Why? Now, after knowing that is the interventions we are making, why should we consider ESCO practice? Because it improves quality of service. And that is also a call for social workers to ensure quality. NASU, through her interventions, supports social workers to elevate mental health needs of others above their personal interests, and also use also the resources available to them to serve the client. In Uganda, we are looking at now much of resource-based intervention other than need-based interventions when we are doing our work. But also, when you consider ESCO practice, ESCO Code of Conduct, also you promote social justice because it is within the ESCO Code of Conduct. Now, NASU promotes mental health, as we are doing that, we are promoting advocacy, but also to ensure that we are considering all categories of people, they are included in our interventions. ESCO Code of Conduct, in relation to service delivery, also promotes dignity and worth of all peoples, marginalized communities, people with different belief systems, and also providing mental health services to all the affected communities in Uganda. Also promoting the importance of human relations. The ESCO Code can help you to do that very well. The other issue is also service based on integrity. When you are using the ESCO code, of course, our services are also guided by integrity, and also we get confidence from the public that what we are doing is right. But also it helps us to do services based on competence, competence-based interventions. It is also stipulated very well in our ESCO code of conduct. The other issue is also promoting the ESCO use of technology and social media. NASU has supported social workers to recognize the potential pitfalls of online communication to address sexual exploitation, abuse, and stigma. You know, younger people now, I know there is a lot of young people now in the conference. They want to post, but at times they need to be guided around what do you post and what you do not post. This has also been added by International Federation as one of the ESCO principles that social workers should uphold. Also, it can help us promote human rights, including all groups or people of different gender and values, so that they are part of the intervention. The ESCO code can do that. But also, when you are talking about ESCO code and quality of service delivery, you cannot forego also what we call ESCO dilemmas. There are also always ESCO dilemmas like creating a relationship via phone, which is a challenge. We faced it in COVID-19. Remember, social workers will create a relationship, physical relationship, which helps us to analyze, total analyze the client and also make interventions. But also, there is also an ESCO dilemma in prioritizing client needs when resources are stretched, and also balancing clients' rights, needs, and also needs and risks against person at risk. For example, I've been listening in for all different interventions, and you can get in a community and you find almost the entire community is needed. Maybe the entire community is needed because of COVID, because of adversity. But if somebody is guided by ESCO code conduct, then he can easily identify and know these people are in need, but this category is at risk. So you prioritize those at risk first. Outcomes of our intervention using ESCO code of conduct to have seen resilience, improved resilience of individuals, families, and communities, especially in relation to mental health and psychosocial support. We have also got reports that 80% of frontline social workers supported by NASU reported improved efficacy, better outcomes, and resilience of individuals, families, and communities.
Mr. John,
provided a report which is also published on.
Mr. John, your time is up, so you have to wrap up. Your time is up. So
yeah, I'm wrapping up. There are some few calls for action. We are calling for action that to ensure all frontline social workers and mental health professionals are supported, regular supervision and team meetings. We need also to develop guidance with frontline social workers, workforce, about how to operate safely and ethically, monitor levels of stress among the frontline social workers, and advocate for government and draw attention to the gaps of social health welfare systems, but also based on ESCO code of conduct, and also to continue engaging in ESCO deliberation with colleagues, like what we are doing today. Reference we have picked from our ESCO code of conduct, International Federation of Social Workers, but also our reports, which you have been doing to do engagements in the community. I thank you.
thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Please, may you put your hands together for John all the way for that wonderful presentation. Our moderator, sir, I would like to, I will just use 5 minutes. It's something I know about. I just want to discuss it because it's supposed to be part of the sub-team. So I prepared this early enough. So we were looking at the menace of illegal mining in particular local government in my state, Cross River State, that is BSA. The activity has caused a lot of problems and have affected people who lives in that area. I walked past one of those days I was traveling. I stopped over there to see for myself what the thing is really causing. Illegal mining. BSA is a local government in Cross River State that is very rich. It has a lot of natural resources. What they mine there, what they get there more often is those limestones. You see, these are the activities. They are there they are illegal people. They get this limestone. One of those days I was traveling to Bauchi. I stopped over there. So the driver just pulled over and asked us that he needed to pee. I said, okay, let's see. And what I got to realize was that someone came out from there with a sack bag that I could lift with my one hand. But the driver trying to lift it could not carry it. I tried to assist, two of us cannot carry it. Another person came who could not carry it, very heavy. They are precious stones. These people comes there, take them and transport them, and then leave the communities there with serious problem, economic problem, social problem. Their waters there are no longer drinkable, and the children there are facing a lot of illness, and it's causing serious problem. And I said, no, I think social workers has to come into this community and talk to them. And when I made an approach to one of the chiefs around there to ask, how do you people manage this? In short, as a matter of fact, there was a time the government of Professor Ben Ayade, the past governor, constituted a committee to look into that. We got to realize through probing that some of those committees members goes there, have relationship with those miners, and they're having deals together. But leaving the community in abject poverty, serious problem, and so on. Now, for us, when we were trying to see how we can get the facts, we use the sustainable development theory to explain what is actually the cause and how it's affecting the people of that area. The impacts are enormous, but we'll look at some of the impact, particularly the environmental effects. We'll look at the social welfare effects. The influx of illegal miners can disrupt traditional ways of lives and communities. It affects the way they think, what they do now, because now a lot of them don't want to go to school. They want to go there because they think it's sharp money. That is how they call it. I want to just get it now. So some of them don't bother about school anymore. After all, the in quotes, the language we have now in Nigeria is that school na scam. So they wouldn't be interested in going. They are there just doing these illegal activities. And some people are dying in that place. Let me give you a shocker. If you die there, doing that activity, they will not see you. Nobody will bring you out, nothing about you. And then there's another place they are doing the same thing. When you go there, most of the people that are there hiding doing these things are Chinese. When anything happens to you, they will just quickly bury you there and you are gone. Nobody will know about it. The chiefs confirm some of these things. So this is how it's affecting them. It affects their socioeconomic lives. Now, most of these chiefs, if you are not from that area, they don't share with you. And then those that are even collecting from that area, they are now bringing more people. They are now attracting more people to come and do deal with them. I was so surprised. One of those days I drove past there again to try to be part of it. I did a participant kind of observation. I showed him. I want to do the business so that I will understand what exactly was going on. And I discovered that some of these persons have backings. They have forgotten and neglected the community completely. So now, let us quickly look at the implication now for social work. Our interest was that, how do social workers come in to that community now to change the narrative, trying to talk the people in, try to talk with government, try to talk with security agencies, how they can cope this. I understand that illegal mining in Nigeria is not just in that area. Literature has revealed that some of this illegal mining is everywhere in Nigeria. Particularly, you talk from Zamfara. Is it Zamfara you want to mention? That one is gold and all of that. The question now is that, how do social workers play to see how this thing is addressed? So the paper was talking about seeing how to relate the information with the government, how it's affecting the people, the community, how it's affecting the, particularly children in that area. If you see them, if you see some of those pictures, you will be surprised. Now, the water is not clean. Even you are bathing, you will not be clean. So you bait back what's the dirt that is excavated from there. Now, for future prospects, there should be harsh penalties for illegal mining operations. If government can do this, it will really help. And then we try as much as possible to bring our paper to bear that the communities there, the only way they will succeed in working is to understand that this belongs to you. So the only way you can sustain it is to protect it and let the government have the opportunity to control it for you. I would like to thank you for listening to me, and I want to appreciate you for taking me to be part of this conference. Congratulations and thank you. I'll now call on our moderator to do the wrapping. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I know I have to do to moderate, but before I'll give like 4 minutes for the question and answer. But I just want us to talk about statutory, how we practice. I know I've learned a lot from here, and I really appreciate coming today for this program. But I just want to talk about how social work has been underpinned in the UK. So social work practice in the UK is divided into 2 major sections, the statutory and the non-statutory. And the statutory practice they are all underpinned by laws and legislation as it's done all over the world. Statutory practice deal with the government aspect of practice, and non-statutory deal with the government, organization and international bodies. Although both are regulated by policy and procedure, but the government take a duty to regulate social work practice, both in adult and children practices throughout local authority in England and Wales. So most practice applicable in Africa countries, except a few countries like South Africa and Zimbabwe, are predominantly non-statutory. For social worker practice to have pronounced impact on vulnerable adults, individuals, because most things we'll be talking about now, we'll be talking about politics, but the people that need our helps are the vulnerable children and adults. So the question is, how should we pass? It's not about formulating policies it's about the individual. So for social practice to have a pronounced impact on vulnerable groups and individuals, the statutory aspect has to be mandatory, although government, we always say, they are fully involved. So let me just talk about statutory, because most what we practice around is not statutory. Statutory social work is used to describe social work where the roles is defined in legislation. This is largely in adult and children's services. The function of the local authority in England includes practices in the hospitals, for example, the NHS in England, but not statutory. Social work can be described in social role where they are not working directly with the legislation. So the statutory is where the government works with individuals, vulnerables, adults, and children. They are underpinned by law. The non-statutory they have procedure, but they are not like underpinned by the government. That's like charity. So, coming down to statutory social work is working within the local government framework. And we have laws like Care Act, like apart from social work ethics, we have like laws that guarding the way we work. Like we have Care Act, 2014. We have Mental Health Act, that is 2005. And we have Mental Capacity Act, because before you could go and do an assessment for someone in adults, you have to know that person have capacity to take part in the assessment. Without having capacity, there's no way. In that situation, that means the law allows you for that person to have an independent advocate that is going to stand for that individual. To round up, the bulk of statutory social work is based on an outcome under the pieces of the law. Non-statutory, voluntary social work is where social workers are carrying out intervention in voluntary organization and charity, which is not necessary under the specific law. To round up, because I still have like 5 minutes, the voluntary and the non-statutory section advocating for promoting particular client good. There's a significant difference between the culture and organization of a statutory, that is, and the non-statutory. A voluntary organization usually have a client-defined role to advocate on behalf of a particular service user, and nearly all their energy is aimed at promoting the welfare and right of that group. That is what is applicable more in Africa. It's more about charity, it's about organization. And the core task of a social work remain the same all over the world. But however, to enable to meet the need of service user and the family is to build a close relationship with them. Finally, in relationship to social practice in Africa and all in Nigeria and Africa, country in Africa needs to develop the statutory aspect of social work. That is, statutory aspect is to cater for the vulnerable individual if they want to see a great improvement in the life of the vulnerable service user. So as we go into the 21st century, it's more that we focus more about statutory, where funding is set aside for the local work practice to assess, provide needs for the vulnerable, both adults and children. Central government must provide statutory legislation funding to local authority, as is done in Europe, North America, Australia, Canada. For instance, Liverpool City Council in 2022-23 budgeted 21% of the council budget on statutory social work services. Until social work practice in Africa moves from non-statutory to statutory practice, much impact will not be felt in the life of the vulnerable citizen. That is just a summary of that. So with all the persistence, or what's the talk, anybody have any question? We have 5 minutes, so I want to count. Can we give it a, thank you very much. The gentleman there and the lady there.
Please, sir, before you continue, I'd like you to please put your hands together for our moderator. So I don't want them to clap for you. You don't know that your presentation was apt.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, sir. Please, you may take your questions. Please be brief, straight to the questions.
Thank you very much.
And the answer, I myself am the order, we answer the question. Yeah.
All protocols observed. I want to thank the facilitators. My name is Michael Shonubi, a practicing social worker based in Lagos. I'm not asking a question. I'm rather supporting and also adding to what Professor Adejo presented. Now, she presented challenges, but for me, I see as social workers, we should be problem solvers. For every challenge, we should be able to bring out opportunities. So for me, I want to add to what she did. One is that as social workers, we need to make ourselves visible, virtually and physical. And when we are doing it virtually, it has to be ethically. 2, we need to be purposeful, ethically and professional. The third is that we need to volunteer as social workers and collaborate with others in allied professions. Then finally, we need to be concerted and strategic in terms of getting strategic data, analyzing it, using it for the purpose of promoting social work objectives. So that's my own suggestion. Thank you very much.
Okay, please, we understand that there are some questions online. So where we take some here, we'll take about 2 or 3 online. So let the moderator appoint who will ask the questions.
I think with the time, can we take 4 here?
Yes.
We are only going to take 4 or 5 here. The lady by your side, so because that is, yeah, please. And please, maybe 2 to 30 seconds to 1 minute, please.
My name is Ikan Matai Kanum from University of Calabar. I just want to buttress the point made by the person that presented online, Samuel Ejima, the postgraduate student from UNILAG. She said that unemployment is one of the hiccups in tackling insecurity and hunger. Yes, I agree, and this calls for action. But my point is, let's be a product of our product. So you train me, I'm a social worker, and if I want to employ, I should also employ a social worker. Not bringing in someone that read economics to come and practice in social work department. So if in the teaching profession, now it is very annoying that you go for a proposal presentation of your thesis and your assessor is somebody that read something but have just an MSc in social work coming to assess you, a core social worker from the foundation. So all I'm saying is, social work department lecturers, please consider social work students before taking people from other departments that did not study social work. And this is also to encourage every other supporting agencies like the NAPTIP, the NDLEA, the UNICEF. In your social work department, please employ social workers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That's a very good recommendation. Anyone again, please? That lady, please. 30 seconds, please.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Chidima Stevens, a practicing social worker in Plateau State. Thank you, ma'am, for the presentation, Vice President, Africa Region. When you were talking about photo voice and people living with HIV, how photo voice can be used to solve problems around people living with HIV. I work with AP Public Health Initiative, and we are the lead implementing partner of HIV response in Plateau State. So I would like you to throw more light on how we can use photo voice to solve problems around people living with HIV, knowing fully well that HIV is a situation with a lot of stigma. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One more here. Then we have 2 in the... Sir, please. We take one more for... Sir. After this, we go online. Then we come back. Then online.
Thank you. My name is Professor T.A. Ojua. I lecture in the University of Calabar. Yeah, I just quickly want to make a general observation, pointing to all the presentations, all revolved around a collective responsibility and taking everyone along, exemplified by the concept of Ubuntu, which we have so far emphasized. But let me quickly say something. Yes, we emphasized the social work profession, but it is not a unique profession that is without the collaborative carriage of other disciplines for analysis. And so we should also be able to, a little to the left, just like we have introduced in our various, in the curriculum, cross-cultural social practice. By implication, there is one way, a little to the left, a little to the right. You tap from humanities, but without losing focus of ethics, principles, values, and norms of social work. There are core areas of interaction for you to have, an eclectic aspect of discussion in social work to make it more robust. Now, for the last presenter, very quickly, yes, the illegal mining things are quite there, but my worry is that you need to also let us know what are the implications of this to social work practice. Now, within that area of case study, there are tripartite targeted groups that must, of necessity, make impact. And as a social work trend, what is the implication for us to strengthen the social intervention processes? The chiefs, the youth, and the children, including the females, must have a thorough understanding of the implication of this illegal mining things to the growth of these children, and also pointing out that all what is expected to be done is for the best interest of those children that are being used as slaves in this contemporary society to exhume that which they have. Just finally, my methodology on the photo voice thing is a wonderful methodology, but it goes again to violate saliently the principles of confidentiality to a greater extent, and also to embellish the fact that individuals may be so carried by emotions in order to now say certain things that are not thematic in what have actually happened. And also, now to what extent do we separate these photos to depict the reality of what is on ground, being that people are very emotional and they will want to go a little away to explain that. So in that, I will advise that you do a mixed method in order to authenticate both the photo voice and other methods for you to really give that particular study a more robust display.
Thank you very much, Professor. Thank you. I hope they're taking that on board and they're going to pass that recommendation. Mrs. Please. Then after, sir, you're going to be, after you come there, sir. Eh?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mrs. Akini, a practicing social worker in Lagos State. My question goes to the online presenter that talks about the mental health, or I will throw the question to the audience. I'm looking at what's the provision for the mental health of the social workers? That's the first question. Now, the provision for the work hazard of social workers in Nigeria, probably in Africa. Now we are looking at the emerging problems. At a point, I'm looking at it that even we that are social workers will not become a victim if it's not properly managed. Thank you.
Thank you for the contribution, Mrs. Sir, please. And that's going to be the last sir. I give the... Sir, the time is... No, this is the last.
Moderator, Idero is my name, from Fulafia. My question goes to the first presenter who spoke on Ubuntu ethics. In your discussion, I did not get any explanation on sanctions, but I feel positive reinforcers and negative sanctions are necessary for the ethics to be enforced. So can you speak more on sanctions? Or are they exclusive? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have a question from online. Someone has a question from online. Can you put it there? My God, they are disturbing.
Now, thank you very much. Please, can we just listen to ourselves? I understand that everybody here wants to talk. We're trying as much as possible to manage the time for today, but we'll give you opportunities. But let's take those that are online first. They are still there. Is that online? Are you online?
Please,
Okay.
just 30 seconds
Hello,
to 1 minute,
everybody.
please.
Good morning, and I'm very happy to be here. Thanks to this part of the organization of this process. My name is Mina Obanga, and I'm an associate professor of social work. But I've written down to submit them of this thing around the issue around photo. I just wanted to ask, one of my issues around voice has always been, won't continuous feature or looking at those pictures always bring back the memories? That is one, just put that aside. Then number two, the issue around illegal mining. As social workers, I'm a typical social worker. It's been 25 years now of doing social work. Many people are doing social work out there without even knowing. All these big NGOs, they don't know what they're doing in social work. It's just not professionalized. So we don't need to be shy about being social work experts. We need to stand up and know that we're the right professionals to actually take the lead. So if you see the kind of work we're doing, for example, in the illegal mining, in our own place, we have what we call the illegal refining. Now, for the illegal refining, what the social workers do, we came together and put in place a bill. And you won't, in fact, you will imagine that today, that bill we put in place has been passed into law and is awaiting assent. For every problem we identify here in the Niger Delta region, we attack it with a bill, we attack it with a policy, present it to the government. Because, of course, I'm a professor of macro social work, so policy and advocacy is a must. So you see that we present it, and half the time, or 90% of the time, these bills get approved. We are currently talking about one on harmonization right now. So what am I saying? That illegal mining taking place, I am almost very sure we already have a bill on something around illegal mining. So I need to confirm, are you aware of such a bill? Have you designed anyone, or if you are not aware? And also the impact of that. Then the last but not the least, somebody talked about sustainable development theory. I want to be sure, is that the standalone theory? Because if you talk about sustainable development theory, it is an integrated theory. So it would be nice, it would be an interesting outcome from this conference to know that we have been able to identify sustainable development theory and its application in that presentation you did. Like I said, I had 10 questions, but God help me. Thanks for finally making me able to speak to this wonderful house, and I hope to connect more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are asked to take two more. Sister, please. Where's the sister? Then you're going to be the last person then. Yes, ma'am.
It's about ethics. I have to give an example for us to learn from. Our sisters were working in one diocese in Liberia, and they met the situation where girls are pregnant and they can stay in class. At that point in time, that wasn't the situation in Nigeria. As soon as a girl takes in, you're out of the school. So while they were working, they applied that. And the parents were agitated. So I visited from Nigeria as the Superior General to go and see them. The situation was so rampant that I could not close my eyes. So I sided with my sisters to maintain morality in the school. Let me cut it short. The end of it was that at a point in time, our mission in Liberia was closed. The people simply said, Liberia is not Nigeria. They stuck to their culture, to their values. So for them, we were imposing our own morality on them. So when we are practicing as social workers, we have to take that into consideration.
Thank you, sister. Thank you. Last question there, please. That woman with the glasses on. We're going to ask, I know they've given you time, that the last two.
Observing all protocols, thank you for the opportunity. I am Badi Shire Enyade from Oyo State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Inclusion. Mr. Moderator, sir, my question, observation, comment will be to you, and then I would appreciate if the global leader could shed more light on this. You talked about statutory and non-statutory. In other words, the legal framework is embedded in that, because without policies, without regulations, there won't be anything statutory. I'd like to talk about the dichotomy in Nigeria concerning social work. I understand there is an institute, and then the other time, for about 2 days now, Prof has been talking about the curriculum for social work in Nigeria, the development of the curriculum. Now we are having an institute. Who is regulating that? What curriculum are they using? And then why is that dichotomy, and what is the global body doing concerning this matter? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's the last question. I mean, those are the recommendations the Institute is going to take on to go to recommend the right policies for social work in Nigeria and Africa. Thank you very much.
Please, the mic. Okay, I'd like to call on the first presenter to respond to the question directed to you. Then we'll call the second presenter. I'm sure Mr. John is equally online to respond to his, and then I'll do mine equally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't get the last question that was directed to me. Was it sanctions, or what was the... Sanctions in which context? Okay. You can just clarify, is there?
When we are discussing ethics,
yes, sure.
We also have to mention sanctions.
Yes.
If somebody violates the code,
there
should be something.
Yes.
If somebody adheres to the code, there also has to be sanctions. But we didn't discuss that aspect.
Thank you so much. Before I respond to that, I always love involving members because we are all professionals on this. Sorry for that, but I will request, I think Noel will give a perspective on that.
Good morning. Thank you. I believe the issue around the sanctions and ethics bring rise to the issue of legislation. This is where the cry to have legislation on social work comes from, to then enforce the ethical principles, because the legislation will then come with the sanctions that if the ethics are violated, what are the consequences?
Thank you. I saw another hand, but because of time, I will not give more opportunities. However, this also connects with the last question that has come up. What is the role of legislation? And all this connects with the national or local context, that each social work organization or profession is regulated and controlled based on local legislative framework and local culture, if we may say so. And it's very important to note that each location or each context differs from each other. And with that having said, it is a requirement that we as professions will formulate policies that can be able to ensure we practice in an ethical way. I know in many associations they have we call different committees, and even James or John from Uganda also mentioned that they have ethical committee. So this is the role of the association to see that all aspects of professionalism is met at local and national context. And in that way, you'll be able to have guiding principles based on professional ethos. The other questions that were raised in terms of collaboration and well-being, we can say that Ubuntu focuses on mainly the well-being of every member in the community or in the community. And in that case, when we practice in a collaborative manner, we not only focus in ensuring that every member well-being is met, but also ensuring that we promote effective relationship that will lead to sustainable well-being and respecting each member or stakeholder, if I may say so, who in a nutshell, we are going to ensure that we are not violating any principle or any law, but emphasizing that in terms of profession, we are able to achieve the well-being in a respective manner. I don't know if I was able to respond that well, but I believe we all understood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that response. I'll now invite Tony to take her own reactions.
Thank you very much. There was a question online sent to me about the issue of the person asked how this method can be used to make them to get healing. And my response is it's a therapeutic, it takes them through a therapeutic process already. During the research, I keep on saying we because I wasn't the only one that, I had a counselor and psychologist. So we met with the survivors 3 different times to train them and get information from them. And during the process, some of them actually, they wept bitterly. I had to run out of the hall myself to clean to dry my tears and come back inside. And these are people that have been accessing services already. They have been going through counseling already. So, but the process made them to disclose a lot of things that they wouldn't have disclosed naturally. And when they share this information among their peers, they felt better. They felt better and they know that they are not the only one. And they also, while talking to each other, they learned from each other. And apart from that, I said we had a stakeholders meeting. They were participants. Nobody disclosed that these are the participants at the stakeholders meeting. When the gaps were identified, the stakeholders also told them, also mentioned what they should have done. And they learned some life skills even during the stakeholders workshop. So I know that most of them are going through healing and, it's a process. Then my prof talked about confidentiality. Yes, these pictures, nobody's face is showing. Even the whole process, I didn't take anybody's pictures. When I took pictures, it was at the back. And they signed consent forms before taking pictures. They signed consent form even before we started the research. And we use a snowballing approach. So they brought in their friends from the support group meeting that they attend already who are survivors of violence. So nobody knows anybody except themselves. And they were told about the process. So who are they going to talk to about it? So there is a lot of confidentiality in using photo voice. I would like to say that. Then someone said, won't the pictures trigger memories? Who has the pictures? The survivors have the pictures themselves. And I, the researcher, I have the pictures. And I don't even have pictures of the survivors. I only have, these pictures. So if the pictures will trigger memories, it might be for the survivors. And that's if they have not deleted it from their phones. It's a small phone. How much can the phone take? Sorry, another question. Then, Then somebody asked about how it can be used for people living with HIV/AIDS. Yes, it depends on what you're looking at. It depends on what information you get. What I said is that, like this research, is being used as an advocacy tool. So if people living positive have any challenge that they want to advocate to the government, or even the partners supporting them, or even in the health facilities where they are taking their ARVs, they can use this method, they can use photo voice method to speak out their mind, to say what they want without anybody being labeled as, oh, this is the person saying it, this is the person reporting the hospital, this is the person reporting the community leader or the youth or somebody who is discriminating against them. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that response. I'd like to respond to the one related to me. Prof, I am happy that you are here, and I thank God that you contributed to my paper. It's a good one. I'd like to bring to our notice that part of our recommendations is that we have to educate more often than not. What we do is to do educating the people in the community why they should rather be protecting their mineral resources rather than giving opportunity to people to exploit it. So, and equally, the question that came online concerning the social sustainable development theory, sustainable development theory had really is all about resource management. How do you manage your resources? And that is why we employ that by saying that you have to advocate. How do you manage your resources? By letting the community people understand that what you are allowing these people to do right now will affect your development and will cause more damages to you. Now, part of those damages, some of those damages that are interest to social workers are because children most often in that area are the one affected, and women. Women's body system can, react to so many things. When you drink bad water, it reacts to women differently to men. The place you go to, maybe the convenience, because in this area they don't have. I understand that there's an organization carrying out something there during the research. It's called WASH. I think it's a World Health something, WASH, that they are trying to see how they can make them understand that they have to have toilets and all of that. Otherwise, they use bushes and all of that. The way women goes there and you are having these legal mining activities, they come out at the end of the day, see them with different kind of illness and all of that play along. Thank you very much. At this juncture, I thank God and I want, okay, thank you. Okay, our presenter that is online, if you are there to respond to one question that is for you, someone send this. Okay, someone had a question for you, very critical question and concern. Okay, but I don't think there's a question that is related to her. I don't think so. So I am sure, Mr. Moderator, sir, we have done justice to this session. And I want you all to please put your hands. I know that we are doing some breakfast or something. Put your hands together for this wonderful. Yes, they will have to take a bow, but I will take the center stage so we can be talking along. We are supposed to be on breakout session at 11:30 dot. We are not going to joke with time today. So as they take the bow and leave, I'll give you the mic while you receive as you're receiving the pack for tea. Please, you're expected to take it to your breakout session. Even if you are eating here, please take it out and then. Thank you very much. You may now rise and take a bow. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Please, I need one mic. Let us talk. Okay. The question that will be asked now, wherever you are, I'll be with you shortly. Thank you. Please get the mic. Okay, please, sir, can you help me? I'm sure they are busy. Yes, okay, you, sir, and you. Please, as they ask their question, maybe contributions, we'll listen and then react to them accordingly.
Thank you, our coordinator, for recognition.
Thank you, sir.
Mine would have been questioned before now, but now I'll turn it to comments and advice. Our brother that spoke last in England, from England, of England's perspective, we are Africans. And he talked about statutory laws and non-statutory laws, and he's working in England. In Nigeria here, or in African setting, precisely Nigeria, we have a serious work. We have a law that has been passed by federal government last year. I said this in the other side I was. It's not being practiced. So I wanted to ask my brother there, how did the one of England worked that is enjoying? Here, our own refuse to work. What is the methodology we can adopt to enable our own work here so that social workers will do the needful in this context? That's what we're here. We're on a crossroad to the extent. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful contribution. I'm sure the man from England heard that question. There'll be, please, let her, you can give her the mic. So, I expect to respond, but we still have to manage our time. Ma, please, you have 1 minute.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Tessie Ozobialu from Nassau, Lagos. I want to ask, what is the role of IFSW? What are we doing to control the activities of non-professionals who do social work activities with skits and content creation? I think I've watched some skit makers do interventions like investigating where there is domestic violence and stealing. If we wait, now we are saying the government will have to regulate our own work. What about regulating online? What are we going to do about it? Thank you.
Yes, your hand was up. Okay. Please give it to her there, the one by the camera. Please. Now, after that, I'll have to... Okay. Please.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. And mine is more of a comment, and it's to your presentation. You talked about illegal mining in Nigeria, and that got me thinking that social workers, I don't think we know that we have a role to protect the environment. Yes, we have a vital role to protect the environment, and the focus has always been on the social environment. But rather, there is a need for us to also protect the physical environment. And what they are doing over there is that they are degrading the environment. And that has implication not for the health and well-being of the residents of that environment, but also for the well-being and the health of the physical environment itself. So I think our role as social workers is to mount pressure on the government to do the right thing. You said something about, ensuring that there are sanctions for these illegal miners. I believe that the government know their role. It is not as if they don't know. They know, but our own role is to mount pressure, to advocate, and ensure that they do the right thing. Thank you. My name is Sofiat, and I'm from the Department of Social Work, University of Lagos. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Somebody's almost standing up there. Please give to Alaji there. Then after that, you bring it to this our friend here. Another hand is there. Another hand is there. We will take the hands that we can.
Protocol here. My name is Abbas Zakari from Jigawa State, Chairman. Mine is to call the attention of social workers, more especially our state chapters. Let them know their stand and their position in their various states. My colleagues in our state, Jigawa State, our association, social workers, we stand and we make sure that in all general hospitals, we have social worker. In all police where led by head DPO, we have social worker. In all court, we have social worker. Let me give you one example of what happened just 3 weeks ago in one of our general hospitals at Jigawa State. There is a patient. She was a lady. She was being taken to hospital. After treating by the doctors, they have not diagnosed what was her own problem. Then, very lucky by then we were there. Then she was being taken to our social worker, working under that general hospital. Then what he has done, he just requests 2 days. Let the patient, that means the client, be with him for 2 days. His resident is inside the hospital and he has a family. He just took her to the home for that 2 days. You know, we social workers, we have our drugs, which we use to diagnose our clients. So she used that drugs for that a day, 2 days. After treating her.
Thank you, sir. Please, you are taking longer. Please, so that everyone has... I've not asked you to give the mic to him. Please. Okay, Alaji, please, just in a second.
Hello. Thank you very much. My name is Ahmed Garba, Secretary in Aso, Jigawa State. For some of us that happen to be, professionally working with the NGOs, in fact, when it comes to ethic principles and all these series of professionalism, it baffles me when I saw some social workers working with the health sectors. And, their entitlement has been, crippled, and they have no place to complain. But thank God now that we have a Gazette document that is our legal backup. Thank you very much for giving me this.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Please, come a little forward. We are taking that side more. Please, can you people understand with me? I know that our hands are all up. Right. Our hands are all up. We are eager to talk. But we cannot give everybody. And I don't even know how to start now. So if you should help me, please come. Let's come this way a little first. You have been there for a long time. Give this our guy here on Ankara. Please pass the mic. Thank you.
Good morning, my colleagues and senior colleagues and students. Mine is just an observation of a gap in the statutory sector of our work. I'm talking about my name is Shedrack Azemo. I'm the secretary in Nassau, Delta State. As a civil servant, I observe a trend. We are making out social workers on a daily basis. And when they come to get employment, some will come into the Ministry of Women Affairs as social workers. Before you know it, they convert to the admin cadre. So we're experiencing a dearth of social workers to work, to render services. I will advise and encourage the upcoming social workers to take pride in their profession and come out and serve. Be in that profession wherever you are taking the job and remain there. And be a tool to render services to those who are supposed to serve. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, I'd like to just read out the announcement. It's already 11:30. We'll have to break out and then so that we can complete it on time today. So thank you very much for your comments. For those of you that have not taken your comments, please, we'll do that again, maybe in the breakout session. Some of these persons will be there to listen to your comments. Please, we'll do that at the breakout session. So breakout section 1 with the theme Mental Health and Psychosocial Support, the role of social worker, will be moderated by Dr. Aminu Zubaru. Dr. Aminu Zubaru is from Kano State Polytechnic, Nigeria. The rapporteur for that room is Shaudatu Alihu. Shaudatu Alihu is equally from Kano State Polytechnic. You'll coordinate that room 1. And then, okay, slide on there. Then we'll have papers there from, Professor Eduro and my sister mentioned this name that time. How is it pronounced? Where are you? Pronounce it, please. Yove. Yove, that's TV name, right? Yove is as if come. Va is come now. People's blessing. Yove. Thank you. I can speak 6 languages. Yes. Comfortably. Including Bekwara. So we are going to take from Yove and Prof. Idioro. They'll be in that hall. Now, there are other people that are not slated that are not on this slide. Please, if you are not on this slide and you are here, we'll separate you into those rooms. Like my sister, Idioro, you two can join the hall or separate. Don't stay with daddy. You are going to hall, go to room 2. You hear me? That is an order. Social work order. So we'll have another one from Miss Chizoba. Then we'll have another one from Joyce, Mrs. Joyce. We'll have another one from Hope. And then room 2. The moderator for room 2 is actually Professor Esau David. The rapporteur there is Mrs. Yemisi Jetulua. And then we'll have paper from David Geva. We have from Esther Uzo. We have from Osage Joseph in that room. Then Mrs. or Miss Idioro. Which one am I taking? Mrs. Miss. Okay. You joined that room 2 with your paper. Then in that same room 2, we are going to take paper online from Dr. Chimobi Okorie. He will be taken in room 2. Then room 3 will be moderated by Tapiwanashe. This person is from Zimbabwe. Are you here? Is she here? Or maybe she will moderate online? Online, okay. Then the rapporteur there is going to be Opora from University of Lagos. Then we'll have paper from Tony Ojuku, have paper from Miss Igbaba Janet. We have from Gafa Femi. We have a paper from Professor Elisate Diago. Then any other paper that have not been slated that you are here in the hall, you've not taken your paper and you are here in the hall, that means we are good. For those that are not presented, like I said, you'll be taken in all this hall. I want to thank you for this opportunity to be an anchorman. I want to thank you for supporting me. I want to beg those that I didn't give mic to talk not to be angry with me. When we go outside, I'll buy you sweets. I'll buy you social work sweets so that the whole thing will work well. Thank you very much and God bless you. Break out to our different sessions.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, fellow participants. We've not had lunch and some people are already a bit drowsy. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you all back to the concluding session of this 3-day International Federation of Social Workers Africa Region Conference 2023. I want to, on behalf of the organizers, thank you especially for your perseverance. And you have all stayed from the first day of this event till now. We are talking of resilience. This is one way of showing resilience. Can we put our hands together for ourselves? Can the ushers please inform all the participants who are outside the hall taking photographs and those behind at the registration point? You cannot be here for 3 days and then you miss out on the final session. What it means is that you will miss the takeaway that you're supposed to be going home with. So, in that regards, can we just enjoin all participants who are outside to come in, take a seat, and let's finish the last part of this race. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a wonderful 3 days. I must, first of all, commend
Our brothers and sisters who have traveled long distances to be with us at this event. They've traveled, they've incurred and invested very huge sums amount of money. If you don't understand, try to book a ticket and see what you get. So it's taking a lot of sacrifice for them to be here. I know some who got their visas an hour to departure and still managed to dash that to the airport and to make it. So let me also recognize the specific countries that are here. If you're called, can we make some noise for them? In no specific order. Hello? In no specific order. Can we make some noise for Tanzania? We are saying Karibu, Asante Sana, and we are wishing you safe trip back. Can we make some noise for Zambia? There are virtual participants from Zambia. Can we make some noise for Rwanda? It will interest you to know that Rwanda hosted the last conference before they passed the baton onto Nigeria. So we'll know who Nigeria is going to pass on the baton to in the near future. Can we make some noise for Uganda? If you've never been to Uganda, make it a point of duty to visit Uganda. The Munyonyo Conference Center is a very hospitable place to go to, by the Lake Victoria. It's enjoyable. But avoid Kabalagala, please. Let's make some noise for Malawi. You know, the country I'm about to call reminds me of this story that happened in an airplane on its way, and then there was a mishap. So the pilot lost control, and they said, oh, the aircraft is too heavy, we need to jettison some passengers to reduce the weight and then have it stabilize. And then they said, okay, we are going to do that alphabetically. And they said, Africans, are there Africans on board? And then a little child wanted to raise his hand, and his father said, would you keep that down? And everybody kept quiet. They said, okay, are there black people here? Everybody kept quiet. And it continued, and the boy was wondering, and he turned to his father and said, are we not Africans? And the father says, today we are Zulus. So you would have gone to everybody on the plane before you get to the letter Z, taking it alphabetically. So let me invite you to make some very special noise for Zimbabwe. There are people who have traveled all the way from Europe to be here with us, especially from the United Kingdom. Can we make some noise for our delegates from the UK? You know, I studied in the UK, and, you know, I tried to develop, you know, the accent. It was very difficult. You know, it's in it, you know. I don't know whether it's the swallow I've taken a long time eating. I just couldn't adapt to that change of accent. Well, let's make some noise for United States of America. Let's go down south, where we have the Table Mountains. Let's make some noise for South Africa. When I talked about last-minute flights and visas, one of our delegates from, our colleagues from Senegal was one of those who managed to meet this conference by a hair's breadth. Can we make some noise for Esther from Senegal? We also would like to make some noise for Nicola, who came all the way from Nairobi. You know, one thing about Nairobi or Kenya generally is the wildlife. You know, they have very beautiful national parks. And if you go there, try to visit a place called Carnivores. It's a very special place. And you get all kinds of meat that you would never have imagined. So we also had participants online from very different parts of the world. And I know there are people from Canada. Can we make some noise for Canada? Now, please, if I omitted any country, can I just be alerted so that... How can sons and daughters of the soil want me to say welcome to them in their own country? Well, of course, you know, in a special way, you know that Nigeria has really, and it's not just about Nigeria having the lion's share of participation. It is the diversity in terms of the different parts of the country where we have had participants come. So can we make some noise for Nigeria? Thank you very much. Without wasting any further time, I'll also just like to briefly introduce those who are on this part of the divide. I can't call it the high table because for some of you here, your table is higher than the people here. So it doesn't qualify to be called the high table. It's just people who are on this side of the hall. And let me start with my extreme right. Representing the Vice Chancellor, University of Lagos, who have graciously allowed us to use their facilities, Professor Nwanna. Can we make some noise for her, please? Can we also specially recognize the President of the Nigerian Association of Social Workers, Alhaji Moshood. President, the way you are waving is like you're doing campaign. No? You know, that's how our politicians, they wear these flowing robes. They come and they tell you what you want to hear. And anyway, let me not say further. But I recall going to the US with this kind of regalia, and then the dry cleaner came to the room to pick my things for laundry. He picked up the trousers. Oh, this is a trouser. He picked up, oh, this is a shirt. He picked up that big one. He didn't know what it was. He looked at it and said, this must be parachute. And that's what he put on the laundry list. In Nigeria, we call it agbada. When our money had value, it used to be called 1,500. But 1,500 cannot even get you a taxi to go home. So, well, let's leave it at that. Of course, without forgetting the one who has also made this possible, that this conference happened. I'm talking of no other person than Mr. Joaquin Cuthbert Mumba. If you don't remember him for anything, don't forget emitting Kuda and Panda. Can we put our hands together for him? He's the global president and he's our son. Let me also recognize representing Christine Munduate, who is the country representative for UNICEF in Nigeria. Ibrahim Sise, the Chief of Child Protection. I won't say anything further. I like my job. On Ibrahim's left is the Vice President of the International Federation of Social Workers. Very unassuming, you see her sitting quietly, but you will not understand the amount of work she has put into making this a reality. Oluwatoyin Adeleke. And you know one other reason why you clap for her? Truly African. Look at her hair. If I check the cost of some of the wigs and the hairs that are put on here, it could build me a house. But let's not go into that. But with this, you get the natural fresh air into your scalp. You think well, you reason well. Thank you very much for representing Africa. Now, the last, but by no means some people say the least, some people say the lost, but I don't know which one he is. He's neither the least nor the lost. It is Dr. Noel Morizzo. Thank you very much. Now that we've recognized all those who are here, I also want to recognize a special constituency. And that is to say, the aspiring social workers, the students. Let me tell you, you may not at this point appreciate what your participation in this conference means to you until much later in the future. You've had the opportunity to sit in the same room with the movers and shakers of the social work sector, not just in Nigeria, but globally. As you even aspire students to go into your dissertations and all that, some of these topics that have been reflected in these themes that have been presented are things you could think of. How do you take it a step further to explore? So it is a privilege that it is in your time that Nigeria has hosted this and you were able to participate. And especially so, given the fact that you had to pay to participate. We know what the country is like at the moment, so it's a huge sacrifice, but it also shows the value you assign to professional development. And I know that you have made contacts here of people who will mentor you and offer you opportunities for internship, guidance, and of course, volunteer opportunities so that you develop the practical aspect to support the theoretical learning that you're undertaking in the various universities that you have come from. Thank you very much. Now we go into the business of this afternoon session. I know it's a Friday. A lot of people already have their weekends planned. I don't know where people will end up this night, but I will only enjoin that wherever you find yourself, behave responsibly. And so without wasting time, we are going to go into review of the draft, presentation of the draft communiqué. We've had 3 days of discussions. We've discussed a wide range of issues, but there was a group whose responsibility it was to try to put all that together. And this is an opportunity for us that when it's presented, we'll then ask ourselves, has it really captured the essence of our 3-day discussions? But a communique is a communique. It's not a report of the meeting. So attempt has been made to summarize and pull things together. A detailed report will be shared by email to all participants when it's finally ready. But this is just teasing out the key takeaways from this 3-day conference. And to share that with us is my brother, Dr. Noel, the president of IFSW Africa Region. You have it.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for the kind words.
My job is simple: to summarize what we have been doing. So I will read the communique as drafted by our drafters. The International Federation of Social Workers, IFSW Africa Region Conference was held from November 22 to 24, 2023 at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. The biannual conference brought together 550 participants from Africa and beyond, from Burkina Faso, Canada, Ghana, Ireland, Israel, Kenya, Malawi, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Tanzania, Uganda, United States of America, United Kingdom, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. The theme of the conference was Emerging Social Problems in Africa, the Response of Social Work Practice. The sub-themes discussed at this conference included strengthening social work service workforce, social service workforce, global, regional, and national perspectives, the role of social service workforce in protecting children from neglect, abuse, violence, exploitation, in particular contexts, that is humanitarian, alternative care, migration, and public finance for children. Number 3, towards professionalization of social work in Africa, the need for a legal and policy framework. Number 4, promoting the rights, well-being, and care for older persons in Africa. Number 5, protecting women and girls from sexual and gender-based violence. Number 6, building our future generation through prioritizing young people in social work practice. Number 7, reimagining and reforming social work education to meet contemporary social challenges. Number 8, social work practice, that is, innovative approaches to social problems in Africa. Number 9, social work and human rights. 10, social work and mental health. At the end of the 3-day conference, the participants discussed the social problems facing the continent, reiterated the critical role of social work in addressing these problems, and proffered possible solutions, which include but not limited to the following: strengthening the social service workforce to support vulnerable populations, especially children, with their families, using the framework of planning, developing and supporting, as well as recognizing the important role of professional associations, governments, development partners, civil society organizations, the academia, and community actors in this regard. Developing innovative approaches, including the adoption of ethical, child safeguarding, technologically advancements in the practice of social work. The next one, support the development of a distinct identity for social workers and ensuring full professionalization of the workforce through registration, accreditation, and certification of social workers. Facilitate the development of normative, legal, and policy framework through the development of a model law for countries to review and adopt to suit their national context for regulation of the social service workforce, as well as a national strategy and capacity building plans for social and auxiliary social workforce. In recognition of the large participation of social work students at the conference, it was agreed that aspiring social workers should be involved, encouraged, and supported through participation, guidance, mentorship, internship, and practicum opportunities for the students. Resolved to undertake strategic advocacy for continental, regional, national governments to sensitize them on the importance of social work practice, to demand for an increase in the current levels of budgetary and fiscal allocation to social welfare services, particularly for vulnerable populations that include but not limited to children, indigenous peoples, migrants, refugees, older persons, women, and girls. In preparation of the Social Development SSWD 2024 Global Conference, which will be held in Panama in 2024, Africa must demand for the recognition of its contribution to a holistic approach to international social work practice through the lens of Ubuntu, emphasizing our humanistic response in dealing with social issues in the community, respecting diversity and promoting inclusivity for sustainable well-being. To work towards the development of a standardized scorecard template for the assessment of the status of countries in the region in terms of their progression towards strengthening the social service workforce, with a view to undertake a status update at future regional conferences, to encourage national delegations to strive to improve on their ratings progressively, to work with international, regional, and national partners, including governments, to further accelerate the strengthening of social service workforce in Africa. Lastly, the conference has also commended the Nigerian Association of Social Workers for hosting this worthy conference. Emulation, and also UNICEF, for its invaluable contribution and support to the organization and achievement of this goal and objective. Lastly, to the University of Lagos, UNILAG, the government, federally and also state, to you, the participants, online and physical, and all stakeholders, and those whom we did not include are included as stakeholders, for being involved and being here. Thus dated this 24th of November, 2023. Thank you.
I don't think that was enough for my president. You know, while he was reading out the communique, somebody who was sitting beside me touched me and said, "Is he related to Professor Lumumba?" Because of the emphasis and the choice of, you know, can we put our hands together once again for him? Thank you very much. We've had the communique for this conference. I think we'll have a few minutes. If you think there is something that is so critical that has been forgotten or omitted, it's a mistake of the head, not of the heart. So please, thank you for pointing that out. And but we gave you recognition initially. Can we put it together for Rwanda once again? So can the communique drafting committee just make note and amend immediately so that we'll have that included? Thank you very much for that observation. Any other comments, points that may have been omitted?
communicates. S is not supposed to be there. S is there at the first point. The second point, that's in the second line, is biannual, is wrongly spelled. So I think we can look at the biannual. If it's a biannual thing, so I think it's B-I-E rather than B-I-A. And that's the second point. The third point is that I think we can also do better by synthesizing the output. Of course, it's actually what, if we want to give it to the mass media or the agent, is usually should not be more than 1 or 2 page resolution. The highlights are there, right? Those points are there. But I would suggest that if it can also be streamlined to give a better synopsis or synoptic view of what actually transpired. For me, it is worthy as it is. I might be wrong, but 3 points I made. First, communicate should be out. 2, biannual should be corrected. 3, we can do more by do proper editing. Thank you.
Permit me to ask, are you a professor? Can we put our hands together for Prof? You know, one thing about, engaging with professors in this kind of forum, and that tells you the number of years they've spent supervising dissertations and theses. Because he's not only looking at the substance, he's also looking at the language of presentation. Thank you very much, Prof. Your points are well noted. In terms of the synopsis, there are 3 versions that we expect from this conference. One is the communique, which is a page and a half, basically, which is a succinct summary of what transpired and the takeaways or agreements. The second one is a summary report, which had been prepared, but we felt it was too lengthy for a communique. And then, of course, there will be a comprehensive report at the end of the day. But we've taken note of your observations, and those will be reflected immediately. Thank you very much, Prof. Any other? When I teach, for instance, and I ask questions and there are no responses, there are only 2 possible explanations. Either I haven't made any sense at all, or I've made so much sense that you can only concur and there's nothing to disagree with. So with your silence, I don't know exactly which one it is, but do we have any other observations apart from this? When you go for a wedding, there's a statement that the minister always makes. If you know anything that will prevent this from taking place, say it now or forever hold your peace. For the last time, do we have any observations with respect to the communique? In the absence of that, I will then call on someone. Okay, there's Grace Alexander, if my eyes do not fail me. Can we have Grace intervene, please? Grace, you have the floor.
Okay, yes. I think in one of the papers I presented in conjunction with 2 other people, that's like Professor Nwana. One of the communiques did not emphasize on the inclusion of studies regarding persons regarding disability studies in the curriculum. So they did not mention that, because you cannot intervene or be holistic in your approach if you don't have the knowledge, the insight, everything concerning persons with disability. Because disability is quite wide, and you cannot actually engage and intervene, and you cannot be also, when it comes to actually protect the interests, protect the dignity of persons with disability.
Thank you very much for that observation. My response is, in the paragraph that we talked about vulnerable populations, let's include persons with disabilities. It's a vital omission, and I'm happy you've been able to observe that. But if we were to include all the recommendations from all the presentations that were made, we are looking at something in the neighborhood of 15 or 20 pages. Thank you very much, Grace. We've noted that, and it will be incorporated.
We need to
Thank you.
identify elderly children, they're all vulnerable.
They are there. They are there. They were listed. If you read the communique, they were all listed. Children, elderly people, girls, women, and all that. They are all there. Thank you very much. There was another hand from an online participant. Dr. Mina Obanga, please, you have the floor. Dr. Mina Obanga, you have the floor, please. Check if your mic is muted. Yeah, we can hear you. Thank you. You have the floor.
My mic is on. It's not. You've unmuted me. I'm speaking now. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
My mic is unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear.
Okay, so all protocols duly observed, though I want to give special recognition to the two presidents here present and thanking them for making this program actualized in every way possible. I have a lot to comment, but I will just focus on one from the communique. My speedy output is to say, out of this conference, we have harvested a lot of policy drives, a lot of policy drivers, a lot of policy opportunities, and a lot of policy strategies. We need to put in the communique clear fact that because as social workers, we should be not only participating, we should also take the right steps when it comes to policy transformation, policy implementation, policy design. And this conference really harvested a lot of that policy. I want it to be strongly captured that if we are to look at different presentations holistically, we'll be able to come up with some strategic way forward on emerging issues in social work that will strategically inform project directions and implementation directions, even curriculum development that will transform the practice in a lot of ways. This is bringing us to 2020. There are some issues that we looked at, AI and all the rest. All these are all forming part of the policy directions that we could take moving forward in how we can shape the social work conversation. So I just wanted to ensure that this is strategically mainstreamed into the document, into the communique, because it's a rich part of the communique we just can't exclude. So that is my comment in the overall. Otherwise, I'll write more than once and then I'll submit in the chat room. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for opting to submit them in the chat room and then for the observation that you have made. Usually, data informs evidence. Evidence informs policy and programming. And that continuum is what we envisage. The other observation you made was in terms of curriculum development, and I think we'll just integrate that because although we've talked about academia generally, but we need to look at just to reflect, revise this to reflect curriculum development in terms of social work practice. Thank you very much. The microphone is coming.
Thank you for this opportunity. I just want to draw attention to the discourse, the proposed discourse of gender-based violence, and I should make it more inclusive. When we say children, women, to the girl child, please let's not forget to include the boy child. The boy child is important. The paradigm shift, we should balance gender issue so that we can all be carried along. The boy child is also affected, the men are also affected. So let's include in the community, please. Thank you.
Thank you. For those of us who are lawyers, there's a rule of construction that says exclusio unis, exclusio alteris. What is included, and what is excluded is excluded. So if you look at the drafting, when it says children, it's talking about all children. However, if you listen to Ibrahim on the first day, he talked about the survey on violence against children. And for girls, it's 1 in every 4. For boys, it's 1 in every 10. What does that tell you? There is an imbalance in the prevalence as it is. And that is why there is a drive to ensure that that population that is more vulnerable at the moment, based on evidence that we have, is emphasized. Once there is that equilibrium in terms of the statistics, then you would have said, if it's affirmative action, once you achieve the reason for that affirmative action, then gender neutrality is something that... But let's not go into another academic discussion at this point in time. Okay, can I put it... Just a minute. Can I put it to the floor so that we don't... those in support of including the boy child separate, in addition to girls, say aye. Those against inclusion of the boy child, just like the girls, say nay. The ayes have it. So let the Communicate Drafting Committee include that, and this is by popular demand. Thank you very much for pointing that out. You want to... Let's have the mic. Switch it on.
Hello. Okay, my name is Precious Agi. I don't want to call my state for some reasons. I want to add to the person that made the presentation on ethics. But we've forgotten to talk about culture. That culture will not allow us to practice social work holistically. It's an issue. Imagine somebody of 50 years or 40 years pregnanting somebody of 80 years. In foreign countries, it's against the law. The child is a child that is a minor. In this situation in Nigeria, they say since the parents will force that child on the man to marry. In that situation, what do we do? And they will cover up this sin. And then the other, somebody said...
point of order, please. You see, we are reacting. This is not panel presentation. We are looking at the communique. If there is anything you think is lacking in the communique, just say it and then we decide whether to include it. Because from your preamble, it will open up another debate. If the point is that ethics has been left out, is one thing. But your preamble is looking at that ethics has to include culture, which is now something that could be subject to different arguments and interpretation. Do you have the microphone?
In the absence of further contributions.
No, Prof. One more before you move the motion. Fair hearing is a cardinal principle of natural justice.
Thank you so much. Standing on the existing protocol, I just want to add to your communique that I request all of us, every stakeholder here in each of the states of federation in Nigeria, to please engage.
Can we have your attention, please? There's a lot of noise in the room, please.
To engage the judiciary through your House of Assembly member, to please interpret our acts, because we have many policies here, many policy working documents, so that they can be interpreted to the stakeholders, so that everybody will know what the social workers ought to do. If it's part of the communique, it will help us to reach out to every House of Assembly member of the stakeholders here to see a way where we can galvanize effort to get this thing across to our people by interpreting the acts. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. While I acknowledge that suggestion, suffice it to say that that's why we've been clamoring for the establishment of the Council for the Regulation of Social Work. If that council is in place, it will be the responsibility of the council, working with the professional associations in the respective states to engage with the political class, both in terms of legislature. You know, judiciary, I'm a lawyer, so I don't want to comment on the judiciary at this point in time. However, it's only when you have taken a matter to court that the issue of judicial interpretation will arise. So for now, let's target sensitization of policymakers and political actors to ensure that they recognize, appreciate the value of social work practice, and then, having done that, begin to allocate more resources and then observe the issue of social work identity to ensure that for social work positions, only qualified social work practitioners end up in those positions. But these are things that the council, when it takes off, will be able to address. Thank you very much. Prof.
Yes.
You have the floor now.
In the absence of further amendments, I, Professor A.E. Idioro, move that the communique be adopted. Thank you.
Does anybody wish to second the motion that has been moved by Prof? Let's have some gender balance. Go ahead, please, Genesis. Wait, let the microphone come so that you will not be misquoted. Eh?
I second the motion to adopt the communique as it is. Professor Genestic Richirize from Uganda.
Thank you very much, Professor Genestic. If I tell you how very much she wanted to be here, when she was waiting and the date was there and she didn't get her visa, she was calling every 1 hour. You know, what is happening? I applied a long time ago. And somebody said, well, it's even, a lot of Nigerians find it difficult to get visas to other countries. And for a change, we are hearing that people are finding it difficult to get visas to come to Nigeria. You know, so I'm happy you made it eventually, and then thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for her? Now, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we've formally adopted the communique subject to the amendments that have been proposed. It is then time for me to invite the Oga Patakpata. And when I say Oga Patakpata, those who are Nigerians know who I'm talking about. Abi, let me invite our global president to then come and give us his closing statements. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Godwin. Representatives from UNICEF, a representative from the University of Lagos, fellow social workers, social work students, or may I simply say distinguished delegates. I just want to make a few comments, and of course, those will be my remarks. There was an issue that we talked about in regard to professionalization of social work. Yes, it is important to have legislation. It is important also to put in place standards, or what we may be calling a competency framework. But it is also important to invest in building the capacity of national associations in all our various countries. And building capacity requires deliberate efforts in doing our own self-assessments. We need to develop systems. For instance, we need to put in place the governance systems. We need to put in place financial systems. And we need to start thinking as an organization that we are. So we got to evolve and get to the level of being an organization. Then that, of course, is going to put us in a better place, even as we are trying to professionalize, even as we are trying to advocate for legislation that is there to protect and promote social work in our respective countries. Then there was also a comment in regard to the role of IFSW supporting our national associations or countries that belong to the Federation. I want to indicate and say that IFSW is committed to providing support to all its members. And the way we provide that support, it's upon being called upon by our members to provide specific support with specific terms of reference. As IFSW, we do not engage in internal squabbles or internal politics of our member countries. So we only provide that particular technical support as a federation from the outside. And I also want to indicate, like what was mentioned already in the communique, that we need, going forward, to be doing our self-assessment and looking at the progress that we're making towards realizing our legal status. And I think that is important, and we already have a tool. It's called Organizational Capacity Assessment Tool. I think we can utilize that tool, and it can help us so that every time or every year we track our progress in growth and also the milestones that we are making towards getting legal status within our countries. And that is what the communique says, that in the next conference, we should be able to demonstrate that we have moved from this level to this level, and of course with evidence. Then I just also wanted to indicate that when it comes to education, I think there was a concern that we have certain institutions that are providing social work training without adhering to the standards. I want to mention here that as a federation, we have a commission which is called the Education Commission, and that commission works in collaboration with the International Association of Schools of Social Work. And under this collaboration, we've developed what we are calling the Global Standards for Social Work Education. And each country, or rather each region, has a representative who sits on that commission. So for Africa, we have Professor Antoniette Lombard, and there is also a regional committee. Genestic is part of that regional committee, and they're working with a number of universities to ensure that they tap into those global standards. Yes, we may have our own national standards looking at our context, but we could still dip or tap into the global standards so that we remain relevant even at the global level. Then I also wanted to make this a point that we also have the UN Commission. And I think looking at what we've learned here and the interaction that we've had with individuals here, I think it will be our undertaking as IFSW to ensure that we strengthen the work of our commission so that we are more visible even at the UN, and also to expand our partnerships with other regional bodies, especially in Africa. So we're talking about ECOWAS from this side of the world. We're talking about SADC. We're talking about East African Community, and also the AU. So We believe working with UNICEF, since UNICEF already has relationships with most of these regional bodies, we'll go through UNICEF to help us open the doors and engage with these regional bodies. And I think that is very important. And again, as a federation, we also want to celebrate the work that social workers are doing. We work under extreme difficult situations without resources, and also most of us are not even paid, according to what we put in. But we, all in all, we celebrate the work that we do as social workers. We have impacted a lot of lives. We have changed a lot of lives. We have saved a lot of children, and also, served at different levels. So we thank you and we celebrate your successes. Last but not least, I just wanted to make this little announcement that the tripartite organizations in the name of the IFSW, the International Association of Schools of Social Work, and the International Council on Social Warfare will be hosting a joint conference called the Joint Conference on Social Work, Education, and Social Development next year in Panama. And the conference starts on the 4th to the 7th of April 2024. So mark those dates for those that are able to make it to Panama, and even those that are able to join in online. Please, you're welcome and encouraged to participate. We will also be having our general meeting in Panama, and the general meeting will be starting on the 1st of April, and it takes 2 days, so it will be the 1st and the 2nd of April. So I thought I make those important remarks. So thank you so very much, and thank you so much, Nigeria, for hosting us. And we're really looking forward to getting to the next hosts within Africa. And of course, the region will be able to guide us where we'll be going next. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
This is his last assignment, so you have to give him an applause that is befitting. His last assignment this afternoon, no. Let me qualify it before. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Joachim. Let me, at this point, invite the country representative of UNICEF, Christian Munduate, who is here represented ably by my Oga at the top, Ibrahim Sise, Chief of Child Protection. Can we put our hands together for him, please?
Good afternoon, all. I know it has been a very difficult time, but all the same, we've all made it to this auspicious occasion. I'm here representing my UNICEF representative, who is unavoidably absent because of her schedules. But I've been with you throughout this journey, more especially from the planning phase, working alongside with the Nigeria Association, and of course with the regional entity, as well as the global level. This is an outstanding time for us to really celebrate what is good with the situation, rather than you start to see what is wrong with it. A time to celebrate our efforts putting things together to really make sure Africa is on the agenda, more especially part of our preparations for the Panama meeting. The past 3 days, we have been interrogating the theme, imagining social problems in Africa, the response of social work. This could have not come at a more opportune time as the continent grapples with numerous problems, whether it be the political, social, security, or even economic. If all other professions are really to take the pathway which the continent's Association of Social Workers have taken, in the past and now, we'll have been able to really make tremendous progress in the realization of the SDGs in Africa. UNICEF recognizes the importance of social workers in the provision of services to vulnerable populations, particularly children, and has been supporting initiatives at both global, regional, as well as national level to strengthen social work. I think I made a very vivid point when it comes in terms of the investment, starting with the legislation, moving forward with the national assessment, putting together an auxiliary social work curriculum, and of course, the intended work in terms of strengthened capacity so that this all works is also part of our profound commitment we will make this afternoon and will continue to make as far as Nigeria goes, and even in some other locations. It is therefore not really surprising that the East and Southern Africa Regional Office and our West Africa and Central Africa Regional Office are all here in Nigeria, including my colleagues from Nigeria, the UNICEF Country Office, and we've been involved in the planning, organizing, as well as funding of this conference. Other UNICEF country offices that also played important roles by either making a presentation or supporting partners' participation. They include Rwanda, Zambia, Uganda, Burkina Faso, and Nigeria itself. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this conference today, we need to ask ourselves one important question, and that is, what am I taking home from this conference, and how can I utilize the knowledge gained from the presentations and experience sharing from across the continent and beyond, and to improve the practice of social work in my country? At least take 3 things. If they go 4, 5, you forget the other 2. Just 3. What you've gained and then what you've taken back as far as this conference is concerned. I really want to take this opportunity to thank all participants, especially the leadership of the Nigeria Association of Social Workers. I have some we never met, but even now coming to Lagos, because we've been having several meetings virtually. And but it has really brought us together. My president, you could imagine, with all those meetings, you can't imagine, I think for the past almost a month, it was reaching a point wherein we've been meeting almost every week. And in some situations, then it became on a daily basis until we had this. And I just also want to thank my 2 colleagues, both from Isaro, meaning Nairobi, and one has just left, Esther. They've been part of this exercise. On behalf of Christian, I just want to pass my thanks and gratitude for all the support and commitment you've really made towards this conference. Without much ado, I also want to take the opportunity to thank our event planner, I am, because let nobody leave you out. Because it was almost on the last minute, with all these things that you see, people taking photographs here and there, it was like the flip of a finger. They were here in Lagos trying to make sure we get it right. We're very grateful, Madam Elizabeth and team. For our students, the future is now. Because certain times they say you are the future. Tell them no. Say the future is now. If we don't do this level of investment by you participating and contributing immensely to short occasions, and then to really see the pathway which we really need to take that will really create that sort of feature, then obviously we are missing out. So I just want to thank you. Leaving your lecture rooms, you've been here with us. So please take the message home, just like what Godwin mentioned. What can we really do different when we go back to those classrooms? More especially those of you that are now leaving university or other academic institutions that you now have to contribute to your society. For those that have traveled far and wide, I just say thank you, colleagues. This is just the beginning of a long journey. There are lots of transformations that are now happening in Nigeria. More especially, you look in terms of the economic crunch. This is where you find the caseload in terms of vulnerable populations increasing by the second. It is a time to rethink, a time to gather, and a time to really be as a unit in terms of collaboration, cooperation with one another, so that we could really make a difference in serving the vulnerable populations that we really need to serve. On behalf of UNICEF, I thank everyone coming, and on a special note, I will also give this to the University of Lagos. We were looking for venues, and that's the time you came to the rescue. You say, look, come. We'll be able to really provide a location. And I can imagine, with all the reasoning and every other stuff, that some of the challenges that I was putting and posing, we made it. So please, let's give University of Lagos a hand. Wonderful. Now, I leave the best for the last. Who are these? Our continental champions. They've been there to really represent us. When you really look in terms of the resounding narrative, in terms of depicting Africa, when I saw this morning the presentation with regards to, first he said, oh, this is Ubuntu, and then he said, no, for the Bantu. That depicts Africa. And that is what we are. And that is the distinction we really have to make, to really cut the chase and then making sure we are there on the front line. And you guys, you made us proud. You're leaving us at this particular juncture, but we also recognize the contributions you've made. For those of you that are continuing, more especially with Madam, as being the vice president or the vice chair on this global stage, please, let's continue to raise the flag of Africa. And our participants from far and wide, travel safe, very best, bon voyage.
If you don't clap for my guy again. Thank you very much. You know, there was something he said which I really want to buttress. When things happen like this, you are seeing the end product. A lot of people do not know what went behind in the planning and execution of this particular conference. Can we put our hands together for the team? You know, when Ibrahim was speaking, he talked about, the future is now. And there is no better time to assert that the future is now than now. And I'll give you an instance. My uncle once told me that when they were in 1976, Olusegun Obasanjo was head of state. He came to their school. They formed, hey, you are the youth, you are the leaders of tomorrow. This was in 1976. Lo and behold, in 1999, Obasanjo came back as a civilian president. And the young people were asking, so when will it be our turn? In 1984, we had Buhari as head of state. In 2015, 31 years later, Buhari still came back as a civilian president. So we have heard the rhetorics. You are leaders of tomorrow. Now we'll take our future by our hands. I'm speaking as if I'm a young person, or am I? Thank you very much for those very kind words. We've come towards the end, but of course, we cannot end without having the organizers say thank you to all those who are deserving of thanks. And for that, I will invite the Vice President, IFSW, Oluwatoni Adeleke. You have the floor.
All protocols are duly observed. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the participants of the IFSW African Region Conference 2023. Your presence and active participation have made this conference a great success. We would like to express our sincere appreciation to the keynote speakers, panelists, and moderators for sharing their valuable insights and experiences with us. Your contributions have enriched our knowledge and understanding of the emerging social problems in Africa and the response of social workers. We have also learned a lot about the progress being made with social service workforce in different countries and all the opportunities waiting for social workers in the workforce. We would like to thank the sponsors of this event, International Federation of Social Workers, IFSW, Nigerian Association of Social Workers, Lagos State NASO, especially for hosting this event and for your contribution to make this conference a success. I would also like to thank Rivers State and Kwara State. They made special contributions, donations for this event. Now, we would like to appreciate our steadfast partners, UNICEF East and South Africa, represented by Nicola, UNICEF West Africa, represented by Esther. We especially thank UNICEF Nigeria for coordinating this for us. Our special thanks to Mr. Ibrahim, the Chief Protection Officer, Mr. Godwin, the Protection Officer, Mona, Mr. Dennis, and other staff in UNICEF Nigeria for the role played in making this conference successful. Special thanks to our volunteers, like Mr. Adeboye. He has been the one going to the airport to pick the international participants. Mr. Femi Olowu, Buki from Nassau, Lagos, the rapporteurs, and the communique committee for their generous support and tireless efforts in making this conference possible. Our chief host, the University of Lagos, with special recognition of the Social Work Department, led by Professor Chinwe Nwana. We appreciate your contributions which is instrumental in ensuring the smooth and efficient organization of this event. We would like to apologize to our student participants for the inconvenience caused by the overwhelming number of participants, practitioners who registered as students for the conference. We will take this as a learning experience and ensure that future conferences are better organized to accommodate all participants and make sure we define what our students means. We would like to appreciate the event manager, I am, all the professors here for the wealth of knowledge you have given to us in this conference. Last but not the least, we would like to thank the International Federation of Social Workers again, IFSW, for their unwavering commitment to promoting social justice, human rights, and social development in Africa and around the world. Your leadership and guidance have been invaluable in shaping the future of social work in Africa. Once again, thank you all for your participation and contribution to this conference. We hope that you have found this event informative, engaging, and rewarding. We look forward to your continued support and collaboration in the future. Thank you. I forgot something I was supposed to do. Okay. When my president was speaking on the first day, he said he's going to be handing over by December. And I would like to use this opportunity to appreciate him, to appreciate Noel for the mentorship, for the support he has given to me. And on behalf of IFSW Africa Region, I would like to present this. Oh, sorry. Come on. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. I would also like to appreciate all the anchors, the two anchors for this program, Pius Aka and Mr. Godwin. Mr. Godwin, I've thanked you already. I will also like to appreciate my national president, Alhaji Mustafa, for his doggedness, for his integrity, for his resilience in making sure that this conference is a success. Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of IFSW Africa, I would like to recognize my global president. This is the first time I'm meeting my global president and my African president. We've been talking online since last year. But when I saw them at the airport, it was like, oh, we already knew each other. I want to thank Anstance, who has been a great influencer in IFSW Africa. I would like to thank Mayaka, my friend, for all his support and for making it to this conference. The global president, I would like my national president to present this to you.
Can we put our hands together once again? I hope Madam Vice President will not remember another thing she forgot and then come and pursue me from the podium to give thanks to those who thanks are due to. Ladies and gentlemen, we've eventually come we've eventually come to a point where we should be considering ending this program. So let me say that on a personal note, I feel honored to be here with you today. When this idea was mooted, it's been a long time ago, but along the line, there were potholes and all that. But the fact that I'm standing before you today, and we are at the end of this conference, which has gone, by my own estimation, very, very well. I think, can we put our hands together for ourselves for having this wonderful conference? There are a lot of people we met at this conference, and we don't know where our paths may cross again. And I want to make an appeal to the local organizing committee, because I know that when papers were put together, there were email addresses and even phone numbers that were attached to topics and those who made it. This is an opportunity that when this is done, it's possible to share those contact details so people can continue to reach out bilaterally to follow up on presentations that were made and to continue to undertake networking as social workers both within the continent and beyond. I'm not a certified social worker because I don't have a degree in social work. I'm a lawyer by profession. But by my association with social workers, let me tell you a story. We were at an event, and that's why when you are with professors, you get easily intimidated. The first person got up, I'm professor, I'm professor. So when it was getting to my turn, I was still a PhD student at the University of Pretoria. And I was wondering, I can't even say I'm doctor because I hadn't concluded. So, but when it got to my turn, I summoned the courage and said, I'm Associate Professor Godwin Odo. And they were like, really? Which I said, well, on a constant basis, I associate with a lot of professors. So because I associate with a lot of professors, I can validly claim that I'm an associate professor. So it's by virtue of my work that I've really engaged with social work. And I had said I will not go back to school again, but I might give it a rethink. Who knows? But it's been wonderful working with all of you over this 3-day period. And I'm really, this is a profession that is undervalued in this country, at least, and on the continent. Because if you know the role social workers play in developed countries and how highly they are regarded, and that's why we want to get this council set up and running. Because a lot of people, when you then go abroad to work, they will require you to get confirmation from your national body that you are indeed a social worker. And that's when a lot of people who have not been participating in the association's activities or are not even registered formally will then come and say, can you do this reference for me? But if we have an accreditation system in place, registration, at the point of a button, you know who is with you or who is with us or who is not who is without us, yes. Now, we are together in this, okay? So on this note, I want to step down from the podium and the interaction will continue. My colleague will make some announcements, and when we end, we'll be ending with the national anthem to formally bring this to a close. But here's an announcement, and Femi Olowu, the applause you received was so much. Anybody who wants to contest election, you need to liaise with him. Can we recognize him once again? Put our hands together for him. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
I expected a higher scream there. Yes, I had to disappear. People were saying online that I was becoming too plenty. So I went into Kumatos. I needed to go and hide. and come back to do the song for the closing. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity given me to be part of this event. I learned a lot, I interacted, I connected, I networked, and today I can stand tall to say I am an associate professor. Of course, I am an associate professor. And then another one happened to me too, the same story. I was traveling and I drove to a point, somebody will say, Esprit de corps, and they will clear them. So one day I drove to a point, soldiers stopped me and I said, Esprit de corps. Then I said, which corps? I said, they will ask you. I said, I'm a social worker. In our profession, we address ourselves as Esprit de corps. After all, a nurse is addressed as Esprit de corps. When I was entering, my friend entered a theater. He wanted to enter. He said Esprit de corps. I allowed him. So I wanted to enter a social worker. They said that I say Esprit de corps. So I am Esprit de corps. So please put your hands together for yourselves. Quick announcement. All social work youths here, whether you're a student or you are a young graduate or you're a practitioner or you're a youth, you are expected to remain behind for a brief interaction. And then, you say what? Money. Okay, you'll be addressed. So, and then, again, when the next conference will come, I want all of us to go. I want all of us, wherever it is, we'll go. Sorry? Yes. Sponsors, we'll get to that. That's why you say remain behind for a discussion. So after this, after the national anthem, we'll do some photographs and then we'll depart. Item 6, we'll do item 6. Don't worry. Please, may we rise and do something very wonderful. In the hall, I moderated over yesterday. If you're in my hall yesterday, raise up your hand. Let's do that thing. Do you remember what we did? Do you remember what we did? You are going to teach them, okay? When I said 1, 2, 3. Where are my students? 1, 2, 3. No, that's not it. The one you are supposed to do, straight and say 1, 2, 3. You remember now? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Then clap for yourself in African way. Africa way. Africa way. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. God bless you as you take the national anthem. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and congratulations. So please, the camera, are we ready? You can just do group photograph here. Let's do some photographs. We may not have to do protocol for the photographs, but I'll say front row can come like that. Just come to the stage. Stay with them and snap. Okay. Okay, there's a special request from Reverend Sister. This is to announce to all those who have served as social worker at the Catholic Counseling and Education Center, Benin City. All those who have served there should please meet with Sister. You're going to do a group photograph here. Now, a quick information. All your emails, you have been receiving emails, right? Listen now, listen. Check your box. There's a form sent to you. Please, it's an evaluation form. Please fill it and return through the link. So check your email, you see it, and please reply accordingly. Thank you very much. So for now, a quick one, the last one, the gadget, the translator gadget. Please don't mistakenly put it in under the chair. Don't mistakenly go out with it. So just leave them on the decks. They will be taken or they will be removed later. Don't worry, the people that are in charge of it will remove it. Thank you very much.